Chapter 1. Late at night, the moonlight was like water, and everything was quiet. A beautiful girl quietly left the room and tiptoed to open the door to the backyard. Her porcelain-like smooth cheeks were slightly flushed, and it was difficult to conceal her nervousness, anticipation, and shyness. This girl was wearing cool and sexy clothes. Her chest was high and tight, like a mountain peak, and her waist was as thin as a water snake, full of vitality. Her short leather skirt wrapped around her round butt, and her pair of white jade-like smooth and tender thighs were full of beautiful youthfulness. In front of her, a youth stood quietly in the moonlight. He was about 16 or 17 years old, with regular facial features, fair skin, and a tall figure. Although he was wearing coarse hemp clothes, it was difficult to conceal his handsome temperament. His pair of eyes were as mysterious and deep as the stars in the sky. "Chu Tian, sorry to keep you waiting." Meng Yingying's voice was a bit shaky. "Everyone is asleep. Come in, go to my room and be quiet." She had experienced a psychological struggle for a whole month, and finally made the decision to indulge herself. Life and youth were limited, and one should enjoy it when possible. Meng Yingying was very nervous. An experienced sister once said that if Chu Tian could perform well every night, her future life would become very rich and happy. She would also find out how stupid it was to be old-fashioned. If you have money, you should enjoy it. Otherwise, wouldn't it be a waste of good family conditions? If she was found out, her reputation would be ruined. However, Meng Yingying could not resist this temptation. It was hard to say. Since she was 12 or 13 years old, she often fantasized about having such a person by her side. Meng Yingying closed the door to the room. She seemed very reserved. The tip of her nose was covered with sweat, and her beautiful cheeks were flushed. Her breasts were moving up and down, and her clothes were tight, as if they would split at any time. Her two small hands were clenched, not knowing where to put them. This was a spacious and bright bedroom. The marble floor, the handmade wooden bed, and the strange shape of the lamp was a lotus carved from crystal. It was like a beautiful work of art, emitting a soft light. The wall was covered with murals. The table was filled with books, and the pink gauze curtain was fluttering, filling the air with a faint fragrance. It was a good place to have an affair. Chu Tian asked curiously, "Is this your first time doing something like this?" Meng Yingying lowered her blushing face. "Yes, it's my first time." Chu Tian smiled and said, "There aren't many rich girls as pure as you." Meng Yingying was a little embarrassed. She asked in a soft voice, "The human trafficker said that you have received specialized training, so you are very proficient in this field. Are you really very experienced?" Chu Tian shrugged. "I don't think it's a problem." Meng Yingying found that when Chu Tian spoke, his attitude was neither servile nor overbearing, and the speed of his speech was neither slow nor fast. He looked very cultured, unlike an ordinary slave. According to the slave trader, Chu Tian used to be a noble. Due to certain reasons, his family broke up and he was hunted down. He was reduced to a slave and was finally bought by Meng Yingying. To actually let a poor noble youth do such a shameful thing, whatever. Tonight she must test his ability. She hoped that Chu Tian was not just an empty shell and could satisfy all her needs. Meng Yingying said in a low voice, "I'll go prepare. You take off your clothes first." She might not sleep tonight, so she had to be prepared to fight through the night. Chu Tian took off his coat and put it on the table. "I'm coming. Help me." Meng Yingying struggled to drag out a big wooden box. A large pile of books and scrolls fell on the table like a small mountain. Meng Yingying smiled embarrassedly. "All the homework that I have accumulated for a month is here. The teacher will check it tomorrow. I haven't even solved a single problem. I'll give it to you now. Try to see if you can solve it first." She had to deduct half a year's worth of pocket money to buy him back. However, if it was worth it, then she would have a lot of time to play happily in the future. Meng Yingying was looking forward to it. "This is a bit more than I thought." Chu Tian flipped open a talisman paper. His eyes were filled with complex rune patterns. His mouth suddenly curled into a disdainful smile. "You should go to sleep. Don't worry about this homework." You don't know?" Meng Yingying's face was filled with disappointment. "This is an incomplete fireball talisman. The structure of a level 1 talisman is too complicated, so it's very difficult to repair. Only a real talisman master can complete it. However, the teacher didn't ask me to complete the repair. This is a set of error-correcting exercises. There are 12 mistakes in the talisman. As long as you can find 5, you will pass. There's a reference book here. Can I trouble you to take a look? Chu Tian's dark eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. This is also considered difficult? Meng Yingying was a bit confused. Isn't it difficult? It's even worse than a child's enlightenment. Chu Tian sneered. I say, the people of your era are too stupid. Meng Yingying was confused. Our era? What do you mean? Chu Tian realized that he had let the cat out of the bag. He immediately changed the topic. Okay, let's not talk about this. Take out the most difficult question for me to see. My teacher, Great Master Zhang Liqing, is the president of the Talisman Guild in the city. He is especially proficient in talismans. He has a great reputation. Even the mayor has to respect him. Are you sure you want to see the most difficult question? Chu Tian was unmoved. Take it out. Meng Yingying had no choice but to unfold a large scroll. A large number of complex rune diagrams were like hundreds of spider webs stacked together. If an ordinary person looked at it, they would immediately feel dizzy. This is the new Earth talisman that the teacher has been researching. When the progress reached about 80%, he couldn't continue no matter what. The teacher really couldn't find any ideas. Therefore, he released the design draft in hopes of seeking inspiration to complete the later works. I was curious, so I took one back. However, I couldn't even understand it, let alone provide any useful ideas. I advise you not to waste your time. This isn't something that ordinary people can understand. Chu Tian glanced at it and judged. It's just a level 1 Earth talisman design. It's very rough, immature, outrageous, and incomplete. He could recognize the type of talisman at a glance. This was something that was almost impossible to achieve, because an ordinary person would need to study it for at least a few days to be able to distinguish it. Meng Yingying was shocked and surprised. Have you seen the design before? Chu Tian was too lazy to explain. Give me a pen. Meng Yingying's face was full of doubt. She handed over a red crystal pen. Could this youngster really understand the teacher's design? Here is wrong, here is wrong, 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 all wrong. Chu Tian drew more than 10 scarlet circles on the blueprint in one breath. The runes are wrong, the runes are overlapping, the logic is confusing, and the creativity is absurd. Beginners should make mistakes, but you've made all of them. Is this a talisman design? It's simply a perfect demonstration of mistakes. Although your teacher is a pig brain, to be able to publicize this kind of rubbish is really commendable. This is worthy of my admiration. Chu Tian marked a dozen numbers and wrote relevant remarks in the blank space. You're the pig brain. How can you say that about Master Zhang? Disappointed. Too disappointed. She now felt that Chu Tian was a braggart. Even if you were a noble and received several years of special education, how old are you? How dare you criticize Master Zhang Liqing like that? He was simply arrogant to the extreme. Meng Yingying had completely lost hope in Chu Tian. She angrily lectured him. When the design was published, it caused a sensation in Tiannan City. Teacher has been immersed in arrays and talismans for decades. His attainments are very high. How can you say that? And, hey, what are you doing? Did you hear what I said? What strange thing are you drawing? Just a few minutes. Just a few minutes. Chu Tian had already completed a brand new design on the back of the scroll. The new design was more than half the size of the original. The regular and neat runes were arranged. Each one seemed to have gone through thousands of calculations. Each line of the array was filled with a wonderful artistic feeling. The whole thing gave people a simple and perfect feeling, as if it was made by nature. The other made people feel dizzy and uncomfortable. The other made people feel like they were appreciating a work of art. These were two completely different experiences. Meng Yingying came over to take a look. Her beautiful eyes suddenly widened. She dared to swear to the heavens that this was the most beautiful talisman design she had ever seen in her life. It had a kind of magical power that made people deeply fascinated. It was simply a textbook perfect work. Even the classic works recorded in the textbooks could not compare to this talisman. Meng Yingying might not be able to understand the content, but from a structural and aesthetic point of view, it was 10 streets away from the classic works in the textbooks. The more Meng Yingying looked, the more fascinated she became. She unconsciously bent over, almost lying on the table. Her chest was a pair of heavy white rabbits. She lowered her collar, revealing half of her perfectly round breasts. Her tight, snow-white breasts propped up the mountain range. The deep cleavage was enough to stimulate any man's imagination. He really did not expect that this little girl, at such a young age, would have such a body. Could it be the legendary baby face and giant breasts that could only be found but not sought? He wondered how it would feel. Meng Yingying did not realize that she was exposed. She was obsessed with it for a full 5 minutes. Only then did she raise her head. I don't understand it at all. But your drawing is really beautiful. Level 1 Rock Skin Talisman. This is the subsequent part of the modification I made on the basis of the original draft. Chu Tian explained to the adorable little girl. But because I was limited by your teacher's thinking, this is probably the worst work I have ever done in my life. When you take it out, don't tell others that it was drawn by me. Chu Tian was not completely doing this for his reputation. He just did not want to expose his ability too early. Meng Yingying nodded her head in a silly manner. She did not realize what this meant at all. 42,000 years ago, the ancestors of the human race gained enlightenment and dug out the way to cultivate their magic power. From then on, they had the capital to settle down and live. 26,500 years ago, the human race discovered the mystery of the formation, which greatly increased their productivity. This laid the foundation for the transition from tribal civilization to empire civilization. 14,200 years ago, the human race mastered the art of talisman making. From then on, they went on expeditions in all directions. The empire's territory rapidly increased. Talismans became the most important and repetitive consumable for cultivators. It was related to the cultivator's strength, the military's combat power, and the country's strength. How could the appearance of a brand new talisman not cause a sensation? It represented a lot of money, honor, and prestige. Meng Yingying's thoughts were simple. The only thing she was concerned about was whether this mysterious fellow was reliable or not and whether he could finish the homework. With this in mind, she naturally could not go to sleep peacefully. She sat by the side to supervise, afraid that Chu Tian would slack off. She discovered a phenomenon. No matter how difficult the questions were, it was still extremely simple. It was still a super simple basic question. There was no difference in Chu Tian's eyes. He could always see the clues in an instant. As if he had practiced thousands of times, he already had a card up his sleeve. He completed the answers at lightning speed. Those perfect formations and runes, those incomparably precise arrangements, those profound combinations, and those artistic beauty. They were definitely not scribbled randomly. She realized that when Chu Tian wrote, it was like a painter painting. The whole process was elegant and free, full of artistic feeling. He was not rigidly constrained, not rigid. Every stroke was in place, and it was natural. Meng Yingying watched in a daze, as if she was enjoying a visual and ideological feast. Unknowingly, an hour and a half had passed. More than 100 copies of homework were neatly stacked on the table. Chu Tian stood up and stretched. It's so boring, I'm about to fall asleep. Meng Yingying could not help but pinch her white and tender thigh. This was not a dream. This fellow had finished a month's worth of homework in less than 2 hours. These tasks are not challenging at all. Do you need any other services? Chu Tian stared at the girl's 2 legs. They were very white, very long, very slender, and very smooth. They were as if they were carved out of white jade. They were really very beautiful. I have a lot of experience in massaging, bathing, and sleeping with you. Do you want to try it? Meng Yingying's face instantly turned red. I don't want to. What a pity. I have to leave now. Meng Yingying hurriedly asked, Where are you going? Chu Tian let out a long yawn. You also know that I was imprisoned by a group of slave traders. I haven't had a good sleep for several days. Now I have to find a place to make up for it. Why, do you want me to sleep with you? What the hell was this guy thinking about? Bah, a dog's mouth can't spit out ivory. Meng Yingying hurriedly explained. Let me tell you, there are a lot of bad people in the city. I have arranged a new identity for you. You are a new chef apprentice in our family. There is an empty house in our family. You can take the key there. This little girl was very thoughtful. When Chu Tian took the key and was about to leave, suddenly, there was a sound of footsteps in the small courtyard. Chu Tian frowned. Strange, it seems that someone is coming. Meng Yingying's expression suddenly changed. Oh no, it's sister. Quickly hide. Chapter 2. Yingying, are you asleep? This was a very magnetic female voice, like a siren singing in the mysterious straits. Even the most experienced sailor would be enchanted by it and eventually fall into a trap. Big sister usually wouldn't come late at night, so what happened today? Meng Yingying hurriedly shouted, I just slept. I don't have any clothes right now. She pushed Chu Tian onto the bed and said in a low voice, there's no other way now, just hide on the bed and don't move. Meng Yingying stuffed Chu Tian's coat and shoes under the bed and gently pulled her hairband. Her black hair flowed down like a waterfall. She quickly took off her shoes and climbed onto the bed. She first covered Chu Tian with a large blanket and then turned around to cover the bed. A refreshing virgin fragrance wafted into his nostrils. The young girl's exquisite body was lying on the bed with a pair of beautiful long legs casually placed in front of her. Her skin was smooth as if it did not have any pores, making one's blood boil. This scene was too stimulating and tempting. Chu Tian found it hard to suppress some instinctive reactions. At this time, her big sister's footsteps were getting closer and closer. Meng Yingying's body could not help but shrink back, leaning against Chu Tian's body. Her butt touched something and she was stunned for a moment before she immediately reacted. Her small face turned red. Meng Yingying almost screamed out loud. Chu Tian's eyes and hands were quick as he suddenly rushed forward. He wrapped one hand around her waist to stabilize her body and the other hand covered her mouth to prevent her from making a sound. The two of them were undoubtedly in close contact and the stimulation was undoubtedly stronger. Woo-woo. Meng Yingying struggled a few times. Her body was like soft cotton and under the friction of her hot and elastic, but Chu Tian felt an evil fire rising and almost couldn't control himself. This body was clearly too young and immature, so how could it resist this kind of temptation? Don't move, don't scream. Meng Yingying continued to whimper. Chu Tian gently patted Meng Yingying's butt. Don't scream. Meng Yingying moaned softly. That handsome and delicate face was leaning against her cheek, and that pair of mysterious eyes that were as deep as the stars stared at her. The tips of their noses were almost touching, and a strong masculine scent entered her nostrils. Her head was instantly dizzy from the smoke. Ever since she was a child, she had never had intimate contact with any man. Under such a strong stimulation, her body gradually heated up, and she actually had a shy reaction. Her sister was outside, and the situation was dire. She did not know why, but there was an uncontrollable excitement in the depths of her heart. Meng Yingying's cheeks were flushed, and her eyes were watery like spring water. Chu Tian had a bad feeling about this. This chick wouldn't be in heat right now, right? That's going to kill me. The wooden door opened. Meng Yingying woke up from her dream, stared at Chu Tian, took his hand away from her mouth, and tried to speak in a normal voice. Sister, why did you come in? I haven't put on my clothes yet. Chu Tian was still holding Meng Yingying, but through the pink translucent gauze, he could vaguely see a slender figure, at least 1.72 meters tall. He couldn't see the face for the time being, but he could see a pair of stunning long legs. Not to mention anything else, just with her magnetic voice and a pair of perfect slender legs, she was enough to make many men go crazy. My old illness is acting up, I can't sleep because of the pain, so I wanted to see you. You just lie down, no need to get up. This beautiful long-legged beauty with a very pleasant voice came over and sat on a stool in front of the bed. Meng Yingying felt her heart beating like a drum. If her sister opened the bed curtain, she would definitely see Chu Tian holding her. Even if she opened her mouth, she wouldn't be able to explain it. Meng Yingying was extremely nervous. In fact, Chu Tian's mood was also quite gloomy. Although I didn't live my life as a hero, at least I was able to look down on others for half of my life. If it wasn't for the failure of the plane shuttling experiment and inexplicably being reborn into ancient times. If it wasn't for becoming a teenager. If it wasn't for losing all my cultivation. If it wasn't for becoming a slave. How could such an unlucky thing happen to me? No matter what, I have to get some interest back. Chu Tian's right hand lightly touched her snow-white thigh. It was smooth and elastic, leaving one with endless aftertaste. Meng Yingying tightly clenched her thigh, her whole body tensed up, she didn't even dare to breathe loudly. In her heart, she cursed Chu Tian 10 times. Not only did he touch her thigh, but his left hand was also naughty on her upper body, wandering around the important parts. The most shameful and hateful thing was, that thing was poking her buttocks. In this kind of situation, he still dares to take advantage of me. Extremely daring. Extremely daring. If this scene was discovered by her sister, regardless of whether or not they had a relationship, she would definitely chop him into pieces and feed him to the dogs. Meng Yingying opened the curtain, a blushing little face popped out. With a trembling voice she asked, "Sister, you came to talk to me in the middle of the night, is there something on your mind?" Meng Qingwu's beautiful and dignified eyebrows slightly wrinkled. With a worried look, she didn't notice her sister's strange expression. She only let out a long sigh and said, "About the matter with the pharmacy, I feel uneasy. Now that I don't have anyone I can trust, I can only come to talk to you." Meng Qingwu was the actual manager of the family's business. Southern Cloud Commerce mainly dealt in talismans. Meng Qingwu spent a lot of money to send her sister to Master Zhang Liqing as a small disciple, hoping that her sister could inherit the master's legacy and revitalize the family business in the future. Southern Cloud Commerce was founded by Meng Qingwu's parents. In its most glorious period, it monopolized the entire Tiannan City talisman market. 6 years ago, after a major upheaval, Southern Cloud Commerce's power rapidly declined, and now it was reduced to a second-rate commerce in Tiannan City. Southern Cloud Commerce's talisman business was increasingly marginalized by its competitors, but fortunately, its foundation was still there. In order to find a breakthrough, Meng Qingwu had no choice but to take out a large portion of her capital to purchase equipment, materials, recipes, and a large sum of money to hire an alchemist. Now, she opened a pharmacy in the city's prime location, hoping to boost her business. Meng Yingying's eyes were somewhat blurred. She lightly gasped for breath. Her heart was like a monkey running amok. She asked, "The pharmacy has only been open for a few days. Has business always been good? If this trend continues, our family will be able to expand and open more branches. What is there for sister to worry about?" Meng Qingwu shook her head. "Too smooth instead makes people worry. Do you still remember 6 years ago?" These words were like a bucket of ice water poured over her. Meng Yingying's body suddenly stiffened. The restless evil fire in her heart was immediately extinguished. How could I forget? Meng Yingying clenched her jade teeth, slightly choking with sobs. "I was only 10 years old, that was the year my parents passed away." Meng Qingwu's beautiful face was covered with a layer of frost. She said in a low voice, "In fact, I have always suspected that my parents did not encounter demon beasts, but were murdered. After these years of investigation, I already have some clues, it's just that I can't find any evidence." Meng Yingying's whole body trembled. "My parents were murdered. You are already 16 years old. According to the continent's tradition, you are already an adult. I will not hide anything from you." Meng Qingwu's fists gradually clenched. "My parents had just passed away. Uncle was in a hurry to divide up the property. The talisman masters of the commerce collectively jumped ship. The latest improved talismans were also leaked. The material suppliers coincidentally cut off the supply of materials. The shops in the city were smashed by troublemakers every 2 or 3 days. In 1 year, the commerce's scale shrank by 80%. Do you think all of this is a coincidence? Could it be? Their plan was very thorough. The only thing they missed was me." Meng Yingying finally knew how hard it had been for her big sister these years. Ying is really useless. When big sister was 16, she had already shouldered the family's burden in a critical moment, but I don't know anything. I don't study, I play around, I spend money recklessly, I even. Meng Ying almost poked out Chu Tian. In a moment of desperation, Chu Tian's right hand slid up and pinched a plump area. Meng Ying's voice stopped abruptly, and her face turned red once again. Her body was quite sensitive, especially the sacred and inviolable parts. She felt a numbing sensation spread through her body, causing her to involuntarily clamp her legs together and clench her teeth to prevent herself from making a sound. Bad fellow. He actually touched my chest. Meng Qingwu saw that her little sister's eyes were filled with tears and her face was red. She thought that her little sister was too guilty and secretly felt gratified. Her little sister, who was always playful and never grew up, finally became a little sensible. Meng Ying was afraid of being attacked again, so how could she dare to poke out Chu Tian? She asked a question that she really wanted to know. Who is so bad that they want to force our family into a dead end? Meng Qingwu hesitated for a few seconds, then replied with a certain tone. The Ye family is originally a mercenary business. Only experienced mercenaries can intercept and kill a caravan without leaving any traces, and also fake the appearance of being attacked by a magical beast. The Ye family, that was a colossus. This was a mercenary family with 3 mercenary groups under their banner. Each group had a scale of 10,000 people. If it really was the Ye family doing this behind the scenes, then Southern Cloud Commerce would not have the slightest ability to resist. Meng Qingwu continued to say, most of our family's symbol masters have jumped ship to Blackwater Commerce, thus helping Blackwater Commerce to quickly rise. On the surface, Blackwater Commerce is run by the Han family, but behind it is the Ye family, otherwise it would be impossible for it to rise this quickly. Meng Ying gritted her teeth and said, we must get revenge. Revenge cannot be rushed. Recently I've been feeling uneasy. I'm afraid that something big will happen in the family. Outside the curtain, a slender and beautiful figure stood up. Ying, you must promise me that you will perform well and study hard. You will strive to become Grandmaster Zhao's official student. That way, even if you encounter a dangerous situation, with Grandmaster Zhao's prestige, he will be able to guarantee your safety. Meng Ying suddenly felt very sad. Her sister's body was not good, but she had to shoulder the burden of the family. She sent her to Grandmaster Zhao Qingfan's place to study, not entirely to repay the family, but rather because she could smell a strong aura early on. She wanted to find a reliable umbrella for her sister. Elder sister, nothing will happen to you, right? Silly girl, elder sister is not that weak. 6 years ago the situation was so bad, but I still managed to survive. This time, I want to see what methods they will use to deal with me. It's already very late. Ying, quickly go to sleep. Wake up early tomorrow and don't be late. Yes. Grandmaster Zhang Liqing is very important. Whether it is for yourself or for the family, you must work hard. Ying understands. Elder sister's body has a hidden illness. You should rest early. This small illness has been around for many years. I'm used to it. It won't get in the way. Meng Qingwu comforted her little sister and then her slender and beautiful figure floated away. Meng Ying's mood was very low. After a few seconds of silence, she suddenly began to cry. Chu Tian gently hugged the girl. Don't be sad, it's okay. Meng Ying felt herself being surrounded by the other's embrace. It was warm, very comfortable, and there was even a bit of attachment. Smelly pervert. How long are you going to hug me? Meng Ying really needed a man's shoulder. She really wanted to throw herself on the other's body and cry, but this guy was too hateful. He actually took advantage of her just now. She couldn't let the other take an inch and take a foot. She had a pure body. Chu Tian reluctantly left the big bed and said with a heartless smile, I'm sorry, don't mean it. It was an emergency and I had no choice, otherwise I would have lost my life. Meng Ying was already so sad, but this guy still laughed heartlessly. She couldn't help but get angry. She fiercely looked at the other's crotch tent and said with a hot face, Is this also because you had no choice? Chu Tian awkwardly crossed his legs. It's a natural physiological phenomenon, there's no way to control it. Aren't you the same? Nonsense, I'm not as shameless as you. But, Meng Yingying angrily said, no buts, if you dare to be stubborn, I will beat you. Help. Second miss is going to kill someone. Chu Tian ran away like a wisp of smoke. Meng Yingying looked at Chu Tian's back and suddenly felt it was funny. Where did this guy come from? Chu Tian left the small courtyard. He stopped in his tracks. His eyes regained their calmness and gradually became deep. He raised his head to look at the sky. The night sky was filled with stars. The positions and trajectories of the stars were exactly the same as in his memory. However, everything around him had changed beyond recognition. No one in this world would believe that the soul in Chu Tian's body came from tens of thousands of years in the future. That's right. He didn't belong here, he came from the future. He was the youngest great sage in the continent at that time. He was carefree and unrestrained, a genius that only appeared once in 1,000 years. Because once when he was studying the space-time crack, he accidentally lost control and was sucked into it. Then his memory was broken, and he was reborn as a teenager. Not only did he lose all his cultivation, but he also became a slave. The slave contract was a major feature of this era. The essence of the contract was to separate a part of the soul and then seal it into the contract's array, allowing the slave master to control the slave through the contract. You want to control me with this kind of outdated technology? What a joke! This was an unbreakable spiritual contract in this era. Chu Tian didn't care. As long as I can cultivate to the awakened soul realm, I can easily break free from the contract. This little girl is quite interesting. I'll experience a different kind of life in this period of time. Chu Tian had a free and unrestrained temperament. He liked to do things as he pleased. He was a hedonist, but he was also a natural optimist. He had already thought it through. Since he was here, he would live a good life. Chu Tian not only wanted to become the strongest under the stars, he also wanted to use his advanced knowledge to change this era. He wanted to see, because of him, what kind of scene would this world become. Chapter 3. There were 10 realms for cultivators. The first was Body Refinement Realm. The second was Spirit Awakened Realm. Each realm was divided into 9 layers. Tianen City had millions of people. Body refinement cultivators numbered more than 200,000 and Spirit Awakened cultivators. Meng Yingying was 16 years old. She was at the second Body Refinement Realm. In the eyes of ordinary people, this was not bad. But among the geniuses of the upper class, she was mediocre. So it was hard to pay attention to her. She was still an insignificant disciple. Today, she carried her bag as usual and walked into the guild hall. Little girl Yingying, you're early today. A beautiful girl walked over. She had red hair and red eyes. She had a coquettish temperament. She wore a thin red translucent silk dress. Her undergarments were faintly discernible. Her pant skirt almost reached her thighs. Her smooth white thighs were boldly exposed. Paired with her red high-heeled boots, the contrast was so strong that it made people's blood boil. Nangong Yun, temperamental. People called her the witch. She had a terrifying cultivation at the peak of the 9th body refinement layer. She was already at the peak of the awakened soul realm. At any time, she could reach the heavens in a single step and become an awakened soul realm expert respected by tens of thousands of people. She was Zhang Liqing's eldest disciple and his only successor. Meng Yingying weakly asked, Senior Nangong, are you here to substitute for teacher again? Don't mention it. Nangong Yun's beautiful red hair was unrestrained. Like a waterfall, it freely draped over her back. That damn old man is going crazy researching new talismans. How would he have time to care about a group of disciples? Nangong Yun was a straightforward person. Her words were harsh. Recently, the old man has started to clean up the students. Your grades have been in the bottom too. I think it's dangerous. Yes, today is the day to check your homework. Did you not finish your homework again? If that's the case, I advise you not to go to class. Pack your things and go home. No, I'm done. Meng Yingying did not want to be expelled. She hurriedly opened her heavy bag. My homework is all in here. You silly girl. Usually it's good if you can finish half of your homework. Today you actually handed it all in. Did the sun rise from the west? All right, just hand it over. However, my task is to teach on behalf of others. Second bro is in charge of grading homework. Hurry up and send it to second bro, second martial brother Han Xiaolong. Han Xiaolong's strength was at the 4th rank of body refinement. Although he was far from being comparable to the monstrous Nangong Yun, he was still a rare seedling with potential, and thus became an official disciple. What made Meng Yingying vexed was that Han Xiaolong was one of her pursuers, but his reputation was very bad. At the same time, there were at least 8 if not 10 beauties chasing after him, and he would use all kinds of methods. Meng Yingying didn't have a good impression of him to begin with. Moreover, from what her sister said yesterday, the Han family might be the real culprits who killed her parents. How could she still want to see him? Wait, is this teacher's design sketch? Nangong's eyes suddenly lit up. She took out a big scroll from her bag. You're good, little girl. You're actually giving your teacher advice. Meng Yingying's cheeks turned hot as she quickly reached out to grab the scroll. It's all nonsense. It's best if you don't show it to teacher. Nangong Yun raised it high up. Meng Yingying was short, so she couldn't reach it even if she stood on her tiptoes. She anxiously shouted, eldest martial sister, quickly give it back to me. Not giving. Not giving. Nangong Yun giggled and said, I want to give it to teacher alone. Whether or not my advice is useful, teacher's impression of you will increase by quite a bit. You don't want to be expelled, right? Don't say any more, it's settled. If you say any more nonsense, I'll beat you up. Quickly scram. Meng Yingying knew her eldest martial sister's temper and didn't dare contradict her, so she helplessly agreed. She walked into a room. Handing in the homework. A 20-year-old man was sitting inside. This person was tall and his facial features weren't bad, but he had a hooked nose and his eyes were slightly sunken, giving off a sinister and vicious feeling. This person was Han Xiaolong. Han Xiaolong had a gentle smile on his face. Yingying, there's a ball tonight. Are you interested in accompanying me? Meng Yingying shook her head. I don't know how to dance and I have other things to do, so I won't be going. Han Xiaolong's eyes flashed with a trace of displeasure. What a pity. Meng Yingying didn't stay and immediately left. Han Xiaolong used a pair of eyes filled with possessiveness, from her white and round legs, to her round buttocks, then to her full breasts. The corners of his mouth slightly rose, forming a cold smile. How many more days can you be proud? Nanyun commerce is now like a grasshopper after autumn. Once Nanyun commerce falls, you sisters will lose your backer, and in the end, you will still become a man's plaything. Han Xiaolong thought of Meng Yingying's youthful and beautiful body, then thought of Meng Qingwu's dignified and elegant temperament. His body immediately reacted. He couldn't wait to take these two beauties into his harem. What is this? Han Xiaolong found a fireball talisman mistake identification exercise in Meng Yingying's homework. A big red cross was drawn on the whole fireball talisman, then a brand new talisman pattern was drawn on the back. Its structure was naturally different from the fireball talisman. Ridiculous, ridiculous to the extreme. Where did you copy this talisman pattern from? Han Xiaolong revealed a look of ridicule. Blackwater Commerce is also a business that deals in talismans, and he is also Master Zhang Liqing's official disciple, so he knows that talismans are an extension of the art of formations. Talisman making has been a school of its own for tens of thousands of years, and the talismans that have been passed down, especially the low-level talismans, have all been improved by countless ancestors over thousands of years. Even a knowledgeable person like Zhang Liqing would find it difficult to change even 1%. Meng Yingying can draw a completely different formation? Isn't this a big joke? Too perfunctory. Too perfunctory. Take this trash and burn it for me. Find a book and casually copy a few formation diagrams. Do you think you can get away with it? Han Xiaolong pushed Meng Yingying's homework to the side and said to the two juniors who are responsible for filling in the results sheet, Meng Yingying's score this time, 0 points. This is extremely bad. It is recommended that she be severely punished to correct the school's style of study. Yes, second senior brother. The juniors hurriedly signed on the results sheet. On one hand, the homework that Meng Yingying handed in is indeed very inexplicable. On the other hand, Han Xiaolong's background is not simple, and they do not want to provoke this person. Isn't second senior brother always pursuing Meng Yingying? Why is he so ruthless towards her? The two of them did not think too much, and one by one, they threw them into the furnace, and all of them were burned to ashes. But even in their dreams, they could not imagine that what is being thrown into the fire is the crystallization of knowledge from 10,000 years ahead. The value of any one of these papers, even if they were to sell them, would not be able to make up for even 1/10 of the value. Han Xiaolong had a new plan in his heart and immediately walked into Zhang Liqing's dedicated research room. A tall old man in a white robe with a face full of worry was bent over the table. His hair and beard were all white, messy, his face haggard, and both his eyes were bloodshot, as if he had not slept well for many days. He was holding a pen in his hand and was deep in thought as he wrote something. The whole table was in a mess. More than 10 thick and heavy talisman books. More than 10 pieces of densely written parchment drafts. Zhang Liqing heard the noise, and somewhat displeased, he reprimanded, "What's the matter? Can't you see that I am busy?" Han Xiaolong went straight to the point. "I have checked the completion of last month's homework. Overall it is okay, except for one person who was very perfunctory and did not put any effort into it. This is the result sheet. The two juniors have already signed it. Please have a look, teacher." Zhang Liqing was annoyed and did not have the mood to look at this. He simply glanced at the comments and immediately waved his hand and said, "Since she does not want to learn, what is the point of staying? Go and refund her tuition fees, and tell her not to come again." Han Xiaolong's face flashed with a hint of joy. Her family is from Nanyun Commerce. Zhang Liqing seemed to have a slight impression. She wasted a few years, her cultivation is neither high nor low, and she has no academic achievements. Instead of continuing to fish for fame, it is better to go home and do something practical. It is not easy for her sister to live alone. This incident will set an example and clean up the academic atmosphere, so that others can learn from it. Quickly go. Teacher. He did not expect things to go so smoothly. Nanyun Commerce was completely isolated and helpless. Han Xiaolong knew that Nangong Yun's relationship with Meng Yingying was not bad, and was afraid that things would change if he dragged on for too long, so he immediately came to the classroom, and without even greeting, directly barged in. Nangong Yun's two willowy eyebrows raised. "Can't you see that I am in class? Quickly scram." "Senior sister, please calm down, I am here to pass on teacher's orders." Han Xiaolong did not dare to easily offend the evildoer Nangong Yun, and immediately brought out Zhang Liqing, then pointed at Meng Yingying and shouted, "Meng Yingying, you have been cultivating in the association for 4 years. Your cultivation is mediocre, you have achieved nothing, you are always late, your grades are at the bottom, and you are a bad influence. I have decided to permanently remove you, to clean up the academic atmosphere of the sect, so that others can learn from it." Nangong Yun was furious. "Han Xiaolong, what do you mean? This is teacher's words, not mine. Senior sister, don't tell me you want to go against teacher?" Han Xiaolong raised his head and continued to speak loudly to Meng Yingying. "Teacher is very understanding, so he will refund the 4 years of tuition fees, a total of 2,000 gold coins, to you. If you still do not understand, I will repeat it again, you are expelled. Never come back again." Once these words were said, the whole audience was in an uproar. This last place Meng Yingying finally can't go on. She just took advantage of her family's money to get the status of a registered student. Master Zhang is really noble. He actually refunded all the tuition fees to her. This is the same as letting her study for 4 years for nothing. Meng Yingying's face became as white as paper, her expression dejected as she picked up her bag, as if she had lost her soul. In the midst of everyone's mockery, she bit her lips, held back her tears, and walked out of the classroom step by step. Nangong Yun slightly frowned. In the end she could only sigh lightly. Meng Yingying carried the heavy bag of money. When she walked out of the association, she was like a puppet in a daze. She could endure the personal humiliation and grievances, but she did not know how to face her sister when she returned home. This matter will spread throughout Tiannan City, and the entire clan will be shamed because of this. Han Xiaolong saw Meng Yingying's dazed appearance, and felt a kind of sick pleasure in his heart. Yingying, don't blame me, this is teacher's order, I cannot disobey it. Meng Yingying was silent. Han Xiaolong deliberately poured salt on the wound. Meng Qingwu has high hopes for you. In the past she used so many connections to send you to Master Zhang. She originally hoped that you would become Master Zhang's official disciple, and find a backer for the crumbling Nanyun commerce. If this matter were to spread, not only would Meng Qingwu lose all her face, she would also be very disappointed. Meng Yingying's tears fell like pearls from a broken necklace. Is there really no way to save it? I don't want sister to be disappointed in me. Han Xiaolong looked at Meng Yingying's beautiful youthful body. It's not that there isn't, it depends on whether you are willing or not. Meng Yingying's heart was rekindled with hope. As long as I don't let sister down, I am willing. Han Xiaolong's eyes became sinister. Are you sure? Really, please help me. Actually, it's not difficult. Han Xiaolong stared at Meng Yingying's full chest and said, as long as you accompany me for a few nights, I will help you put in a good word. Your relationship with Nangong is not bad, we are both teachers' most valued students. If we can mediate, there will be room for negotiation. Meng Yingying was furious. You despicable person. Han Xiaolong's face was completely exposed. Because Nanyun commerce was finished, the two sisters were also finished, there was no need to hide anything. Fine, I gave you a chance. Since you chose not to take it, then don't blame me. But I want to tell you, sooner or later, there will be a day when you will beg me to sleep with you. You shut up. When Meng Yingying saw Han Xiaolong's ugly face, she had a very bad premonition in her heart. She turned her head and ran away as if she was running for her life. She didn't want to stay here a minute longer, she just wanted to go home quickly. Chapter 4. Noon Research Room. Zhang Liqing tiredly arranged the draft on the table. Nangong Yun walked in and asked, Old man, how's the progress today? Zhang Liqing tiredly rubbed his eyes. Difficult, still nothing. Talisman research usually depends on the wisdom of a team. Naturally, you are struggling to do it alone. Nangong Yun was still brooding over Meng Yingying's matter. At this time, she suddenly had an idea and took out a scroll. Oh right, I received a comment. Maybe it will be of some help. Zhang Liqing asked, whose comment is it? Nangong Yun temporarily did not want to reveal. That is not important. Look at the content first. If it is really useful, I will tell you. Nangong Yun did not have much hope. What kind of direct suggestion could that girl come up with? However, when the scroll was unfurled, Nangong Yun was immediately dumbfounded. More than a dozen shocking scarlet crosses were placed on the design, and there were simple comments in the blank space, almost criticizing Zhang Liqing to the point where there were cuts and bruises all over. Academic trash. Wrong demonstration. Misleading students. Damn, this girl is so domineering. Why can't I see it usually? No matter who, if their work is judged to be useless, they would not be able to hold it in. However, Zhang Liqing was a person with tolerance and self-cultivation. He forcibly suppressed his anger and patiently read the detailed remarks. Not simple. Just a few words, but it just happened to hit the nail on the head. Zhang Liqing's expression gradually became dignified. The hundreds of remarks all pointed to the mistakes in the design drawing. It seemed to contain a huge amount of information. Zhang Liqing read it several times. Each time, he had a different feeling. The second time, his mind suddenly became clear. The confusion was swept away. He could not wait to overturn the previous theory and reorganize the design drawing. The third time, every word seemed to contain great wisdom. It was difficult to understand and made Zhang Liqing puzzled. The fourth time, Zhang Liqing felt his mind was a little confused. He did not know where to start. It was like reading a classic book. On the surface, it was a shallow and concise story, but in fact, it contained extremely profound wisdom. Zhang Liqing carefully read the mystery. He felt a little immersed in it. It was really amazing. There is a picture on the back of this scroll. Really? Zhang Liqing turned the scroll over and sucked in a breath of cold air. His pupils dilated rapidly, and his face turned red, then pale, and then red again. His lips trembled, and his tongue seemed to be in a knot. He couldn't speak at all. This. Nangongyun took out a pill and handed it over. Zhang Liqing swallowed the pill, and his complexion eased a little. However, his expression was still very agitated. His hands were tightly covering his chest, and his forehead was full of beads of sweat. He trembled for a long time but couldn't speak. Quick, help me cover the picture. Zhang Liqing's heart wasn't too good. If this went on, his heart might burst and he would die. Nangongyun's face was filled with doubt. This old man was usually calm and composed. He was never a person who would make a fuss about nothing. So why did he become so excited after seeing that picture? What is this picture? Zhang Liqing found it hard to restrain the excitement in his heart. He swallowed another pill, and as if he had obtained a treasure, he slowly opened the scroll. His eyes were dull as he looked at the design. His old eyes were brimming with tears, and he muttered to himself, "In this life, I have seen such a perfect talisman design. I can die without regrets." Hey, you old man, you have no ambition at all. No matter what, you are still a grandmaster. Zhang Liqing laughed at himself. I only have a bit of fame in this small Tiannan city. If I were to compare myself to someone else, it would be like comparing a lone star to the sun and the moon, or comparing a jackdaw to a phoenix. What qualifications do I have to call myself a grandmaster? Tell me, who is this? I want to personally pay a visit to this real grandmaster. Nangongyun's expression was strange. I'm afraid she isn't as old as you. Zhang Liqing blew his beard and stared at him. The skilled are the teachers. There are countless people in this world. How could this old man be so inflexible? Nangongyun bitterly smiled. But she is still your student. Bullshit. This old man is more like her student. I'll be honest. She is your fourth-year student. Her name is Meng Yingying. But this morning your old man fired her. Meng Yingying? She really is my student? I even fired her. Zhang Liqing was stunned for a while. Are you sure? Nangongyun nodded and said, she personally handed this scroll to me this morning. Zhang Liqing's eyes turned white. He clutched his heart and collapsed. Medicine. Medicine. Hurry and give me the medicine. Zhang Liqing's mind was a bit abnormal. This old man couldn't take too much stimulation. If he wasn't careful, he might die. Nangongyun quickly fed the teacher a few pills and then helped him to the lounge. Zhang Liqing was lying on the bed. His face was pale, his eyes were closed, and his mouth was trembling as he spoke nonsense. An hour later, Zhang Liqing sat up like a carp. Where is this? Nangongyun was shocked. This old man couldn't have gone crazy from the stimulation. The lounge. You just fainted. Zhang Liqing revealed an ecstatic expression. Fainted? So what just happened wasn't a dream? Hurry, give me the scroll. Nangongyun worriedly said, you shouldn't look at it in your current state. Zhang Liqing glared at her and said, stop talking nonsense. Hurry and give it to me. Nangongyun could only bring the scroll over. The 70-year-old man carefully held the scroll in his hands. His face was filled with infatuation. He was like a little lover's hand. He gently stroked the scroll, causing Nangongyun to have goosebumps. This talisman design is flawless. What's more valuable is that it was designed according to my ideas. This undoubtedly increases the difficulty by 10 times. 42,000 years ago, humans mastered magic power. 26,500 years ago, humans discovered magic arrays. 14,200 years ago, talisman making became part of history. Today, the continent has formed a few mature schools of talisman making. Each has its own merits and they complement each other. However, this style does not belong to any of the continent schools. It faintly contains the styles of several schools. It has been developed to its peak state. It is as if it has transcended the world for thousands of years. Art, the perfect art. This old man has been immersed in array and talisman making for dozens of years. I am finally fortunate enough to meet a true expert. This old man will personally test its effects. Zhang Liqing created the talisman. The moment the talisman was activated, an invisible and vigorous power immediately enveloped his entire body. Zhang Liqing became excited. He had already thought of a name for the talisman he wanted to design. It was called rock armor. Because once the talisman was activated by magic power, the rock armor would wrap around the body, giving it a good defense. From the way the talisman was activated, it was very close to what he had imagined. Wait a minute. Zhang Liqing suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. The magic power was focused on the talisman. After the talisman was transformed by the array, it first enveloped the entire body and then began to penetrate the body. How could it penetrate the body? Could it be that the talisman was dangerous? Zhang Liqing thought again. If the other party could draw such a perfect design, how could they make a mistake in the most basic safety? Zhang Liqing clenched his teeth and continued. The skin and muscles quickly hardened and the skin quickly turned gray and black. This is... Zhang Liqing stared at the mirror dumbfoundedly. The skin of his entire body was petrified. Not only was the hardness comparable to a rock. How could this be done? The hardness of the skin greatly increased, but it did not affect the flexibility and mobility. The most incredible thing was that the elemental power combined with the cells to achieve a temporary elemental transformation. Zhang Liqing clearly remembered that his teacher, the famous talisman master He Tianming, had once proposed a related theory. In fact, it was refuted and ridiculed by many people. But it was actually realized on a small level 2 talisman. What kind of ingenuity and bold design was this? Ingenious workmanship. Understanding the nature. Nan Gongyun could not help but exclaim, "This is really godly. This was too much of a blow. This was too much of a blow." The rock armor that Zhang Liqing had painstakingly researched was trash compared to this. After 5 minutes, the skin returned to its normal color without the slightest side effect. Every step could be said to be perfect. This was really handed in by Meng Yingying? Meng Yingying usually procrastinates handing in her homework. She always doesn't hand in half of it. Her grades are 1 or 2 from the bottom among the disciples. Today is strange. Meng Yingying was the first to hand in her homework. Moreover, she completed all of it. This is very strange. Zhang Liqing thought for a moment and said, "Bring all of Meng Yingying's homework over?" Nan Gongyun's face was helpless. "I'm afraid I can't." Zhang Liqing stared at her. "Why?" "Because second disciple asked someone to burn them." "Burn?" Zhang Liqing's beard was trembling. "Burn them all?" Nan Gongyun nodded. Zhang Liqing roared. As if he had gone mad, he slammed open the door of the research room and kicked open the door of the reference room. When the students saw their teacher rushing in with a face full of anger, they were all scared silly. Their teacher was usually very calm. What was wrong with him today? Zhang Liqing walked over with a gloomy face. With trembling hands, he picked up a piece of charred black debris from the stove. The talisman paper was made of special wood or animal skin. It was usually very resistant to heat and blisters. There would always be some debris left behind. This was obviously a level 1 talisman. If he remembered correctly, this was left behind for the disciples to identify the errors in the drawing. It required the disciples to find the errors in the drawing. However, this talisman paper had a big red cross drawn on it. What did this mean? The whole thing was wrong? A brand new drawing was left on the back. Although it was burned and mottled, Zhang Liqing could still recognize it. That's right, it was definitely that master's handwriting. It was definitely that master's handwriting. It's over. It's over. What did I do? Zhang Liqing stared at the stove full of black ashes. His face became gloomy. One moment it was red, the next moment it was white. Suddenly he raised his head. Pooh! A big mouthful of blood sprayed to the ceiling. Zhang Liqing felt dizzy and fainted on the ground. Teacher! The disciples were all stunned. Rice bucket. A few rice buckets. You guys are in big trouble. Nan Gongyun hurried over to help Zhang Liqing up. She turned around and stared at the disciples. While the old man hasn't woken up, go pack your things and run. No matter where you go, Tiannan City will not tolerate you. Chapter 5. In the afternoon, the sun was blazing like fire. Meng Yingying sat on the swing in the courtyard, gently swaying. The sun shone on her smooth and flawless skin, accentuating the whiteness of her thighs, which were so tender that water could be squeezed out of them. However, her delicate cheeks had become dirty, and crystal-clear tears fell like broken pearls. Her soft and weak appearance made people want to protect her. A heartless voice came over. "I finally found you. I'm starving to death. Don't you take care of my meals?" Chu Tian's hair was messy, and his eyes were drowsy as he walked over, looking as if he had just woken up. Meng Yingying turned her face and snorted, "You actually just woke up? It's already afternoon." Chu Tian said confidently, "The house you arranged for me to live in is small and dirty. It doesn't even have an oil lamp, not to mention pots and pans. Moreover, the windows are very small, almost airtight. In the summer, it's as stuffy as a tin can. How can I sleep?" Meng Yingying was stunned for a moment. "Really?" "Of course. The bed was so hard that my back hurt from sleeping on it." Chu Tian moved his body, looking very uncomfortable. "Luckily I'm smart and quick-witted. I pried open the warehouse door and took out some materials to improve the living conditions. After all this, it was almost dawn. I was sleepy and tired, so I naturally slept until noon." "So that's how it is." "Wait a minute." He pried open the warehouse door. "This guy is too daring." Chu Tian noticed that there were tears on Meng Yingying's face. "Hey, why are you crying? Could it be that you were moved by my tragic experience and my spirit of constantly striving to improve in the face of adversity?" Meng Yingying rubbed her eyes and said angrily, "Nonsense. I'm sad because I was expelled by my teacher. I don't care about your life or death." Chu Tian waved his hand. "Sigh, it's not a big deal. However, it's really not nice of the old man to burn the bridge after crossing it." Meng Yingying shook her legs and jumped down from the swing. She stood in front of him with her hands on her hips. "Don't talk nonsense." Although he was fired by Master Zhang, he still got his tuition refunded. This is equivalent to teaching for nothing for 4 years. He didn't get any benefits. Chu Tian let out a long yawn and lazily said, "Naive, I will clearly tell you that the value of the homework I helped you complete is enough to buy the entire Tiannan City's Symbol Masters Guild. That old man kicked you aside, clearly wanting to keep it all to himself. Can't you stop bragging? Master Zhang is a man of noble character and unquestionable integrity. How could he do such a thing?" Meng Yingying circled around to Chu Tian. "Also, if I am fired, you will lose your job. I'm going to take you to get a refund and get the slave trader to return my money." Chu Tian was shocked. "What? You can get a refund?" Meng Yingying snorted and said, "Of course. I guarantee a refund in 3 days and a replacement in 7 days. Fuck. What the hell? This era's slave market actually has such a humane after-sales service? Don't worry. I can prove that my value is not limited to this." Chu Tian didn't even think before saying, "How about this? I'll treat you to a big meal first." "Treat me to a big meal?" "That's right. Everything is ready. I'm only missing the ingredients and seasonings." Meng Yingying was simply confused by Chu Tian's words. "You don't even have the ingredients and seasonings. What do you mean you're ready?" Chu Tian was like a dead pig that wasn't afraid of being scalded. "Please, I don't have any money. But believe me, you won't be disappointed." What was Chu Tian planning? Meng Yingying hadn't eaten for a long time and her stomach was indeed very hungry. She decided to fill her stomach first before thinking about how to explain this headache to her sister. Thus, she brought Chu Tian to the food storage room. 2 pieces of moonlight yak steak. 1 silver turtle. Chu Tian picked out the ingredients. Meng Yingying walked while frowning and said, "You're only taking demon beast meat. Although demon beast meat is very nutritious, it doesn't taste good and can't be digested." "Who said that?" "This is common sense." Meng Yingying was now seriously doubting Chu Tian's culinary skills. Demon beasts are monsters that have the ability to cultivate. Demon beasts' bodies are fused with large amounts of spirit energy and are 10 to 100 times stronger than a human's. Even a soldier would find it hard to cut them with a knife, not to mention our teeth. Because the strength of demon beast meat is too high, a normal person's stomach can't digest it. When you eat it and can't poop, you might even die. You barbarians, you really don't know how to enjoy life. What do you mean? You dare say that I'm a barbarian? How do I look like a barbarian? Return. Return. Don't just casually say return, return. We've slept on the same bed and had skin contact. Saying that would hurt our relationship. Scoundrel, you still dare say this? Meng Yingying was furious. I must return. Don't be angry, I was wrong, okay? Chu Tian hurriedly appeased the angry girl. Since it's like this, I'll show you some civilized things to compensate for your mental damage. Chu Tian coaxed her for a long time. The little girl finally followed him into the small room. The small room was just as Chu Tian said, a stuffy, hot, and dark place. However, the moment Meng Yingying opened the door, she froze on the spot as if she was petrified. Her eyes widened and she couldn't believe what she saw. What is this? A few small glass balls were strung together and hung from the ceiling. Each glass ball emitted a bright light, making the dark room especially bright and comfortable. A teapot was placed on the broken wooden table. It wasn't placed over the fire to roast, but the pot made a boiling sound. It didn't weaken, as if it was always boiling. Whoosh whoosh. The wind echoed in the room. It turned out that the 4 walls were painted with green arrays. The 4 arrays interacted with each other and pulled the air flow in the room, forming waves of majestic wind. Staying indoors on a hot summer day made one feel refreshed and cool. What's with this glass? Why is it so bright? This is called a light bulb. During Chu Tian's era, the electric light was something that had been eliminated for many years. In this era, the electric light had not been invented yet. The continent generally used candles or oil lamps, and the more advanced ones used crystal lamps. The former was very inconvenient and not bright enough, while the latter was very expensive to build and consume. It was not something that middle and lower class families could afford. The appearance of the electric light was definitely a milestone for civilization. Meng Yingying's eyes opened wide. Why can the electric light be lit up? Chu Tian began to explain. The principle of the light and electricity exchange is engraved with 5 source energy arrays. 1 to absorb source energy, 1 to generate source energy, 1 to store source energy, 1 to control the output of source energy, and 1 to convert electricity into light energy. The arrays are all connected and can be used at the same time, so the light bulb will light up. Meng Yingying was about to speak. Chu Tian impolitely cut her off. All right, don't ask anymore. You won't understand even if I continue. Meng Yingying didn't have time to blame Chu Tian for being rude. She pointed at the teapot and said, "Why can your teapot heat up itself? It's just a simple heating source energy array. Why is there wind blowing in the room? It's because of the fan array on the wall. Actually, I wanted to make an air conditioner, but I couldn't find the materials, so I could only reluctantly do it." Meng Yingying asked like a curious baby. Finally she exclaimed, "Ayaya, so many strange things. You really have some strange skills." Chu Tian laughed and said, "This time you won't bring me to the slave market for a refund, right? That will depend on your performance." Meng Yingying was very curious. When she saw something new, she forgot her worries and her mood became much better. She casually sat down. "Hey, didn't you invite me to a feast? I've already brought the ingredients and there isn't a kitchen here. I'm telling you, if you dare trick me, I'll bring you to a refund." Chu Tian pulled out a frying pan as if he was performing a magic trick. "Why do you need a kitchen? Watch, I'll fry a steak for you." Chu Tian poured out his spirit energy and the source energy array at the bottom of the pan lit up. There was no flame. The air above the pan seemed to be affected by the high temperature as it began to change shape. The most amazing thing was that the high temperature seemed to be locked within a few centimeters. The surroundings could not feel it at all and the pan's handle remained cold. Chu Tian picked up a piece of moonlight yak steak and threw it in. Chi la. When the steak touched the bottom of the pan, it immediately released the sound of it being burned. Chu Tian clearly did not use any fire, but the pan seemed like it was filled with tens of thousands of small holes that were evenly heated. After around 30 seconds, Chu Tian gently flicked his wrist and flipped the steak over. He saw that the place where it had been fried had already changed color. Moonlight yaks were demon beasts. Normal chefs would find it hard to cook this ingredient. Normal flames would also find it hard to cook this ingredient. Demon beasts were very strong, but their thermal conductivity was very poor. Sometimes when they were roasted over a fire, the outside would be burnt to a crisp and the inside would not even be cooked. Even if they were cut into thin slices and cooked, this kind of food was very difficult to digest. The heat released by the pan in Chu Tian's hands seemed to have a super penetrating ability. It seeped into every cell and fundamentally disintegrated the stubborn characteristics of the demon beast meat. It was fully releasing the delicious and nutritious taste. The steak kept flipping, and the fragrant butter flowed out. Seeing that the heat was about right, Chu Tian added sea salt, black pepper, olive oil, lemon juice, all kinds of seasonings. It was fried for about 8 minutes. A steaming steak came out of the pan. "Miss, please enjoy." Chu Tian poured the steak into Meng Yingying's plate. The whole steak was 3 centimeters thick and had a bright red color. The meat juices flowed. It was cooked inside and out, tender and delicious. A strange aroma permeated the whole room and made Meng Yingying drool. She couldn't wait to cut it with a knife. Magical beast meat was very tough, but this piece of beef was easily cut off. Meng Yingying forked the meat and put it into her mouth. Woo woo woo, Meng Yingying's eyes lit up. Once she started eating, she couldn't stop. She immediately ate a few big pieces, and her mouth was full of oil. She said vaguely, "Wow, I've never eaten such good demon beast meat." Chu Tian was so tired that he was sweating, but seeing that the little beauty liked it, he nodded in relief. This body was indeed a noble in the past and had cultivated for a period of time. However, it hadn't even reached the refinement realm, so its spirit energy was pitifully weak. Therefore, using spirit energy to cook consumed a lot of Chu Tian's energy. Meng Yingying saw that Chu Tian was very tired. She thought of something and stood up. "Can you teach me how to fry steak with this pan?" Chu Tian knew that the considerate little girl wanted to share the burden. He smiled and said, "It's actually very simple. There's no need to learn at all." Meng Yingying put down the utensils and walked over. "Let me try." Chu Tian gave her the pan for frying steak. "I'll draw a small frying array at the bottom of the pan. You only need to pour your spirit energy in and it will produce an effect. Try it now." In any case, Meng Yingying was at the second rank of body refinement. Even though her elemental energy was not deep, it was still several times stronger than Chu Tian's. She imbued elemental energy into the frying pan. The magic array at the bottom of the frying pan absorbed the elemental energy, and immediately, an invisible energy gushed out. Chila. A piece of steak was thrown in, immediately producing a high-temperature burning sound. Meng Yingying's face flushed red with excitement. She nervously held the pan. "What do we do now? What do we do now?" Chu Tian walked over and held Meng Yingying's trembling little hand. "Don't be nervous. Stabilize the spirit energy output. About every 30 seconds, change sides. Just like this. Just add seasonings midway. I said it's very simple." The little girl's hand was smooth and tender. Chu Tian held back a little. Meng Yingying's face was as red as an apple. He didn't know if it was because she was nervous or because she was shy. She only felt a warm big hand wrap around her hands. She didn't feel too repulsed and acted as if nothing happened. A few minutes later, a piece of fragrant steak appeared. Meng Yingying excitedly laughed. "I, Meng Yingying, can also cook a delicious steak." "Stupid girl, you have a spirit energy cooking array and you can't cook it? Unless there's a problem with your brain." She seemed to have done something amazing. She was very happy and full of joy. Unfortunately, she only brought 2 steaks. Otherwise, she would really play with them. Meng Yingying found that Chu Tian had 2 pots. One was a pan for frying steak and the other was a steel pot for stewing soup. She pointed at the pot and asked, "What's the use of this pot?" "This is for cooking soup. I'll draw a small-scale cooking array." "Didn't we bring a silver turtle? How about we make a pot of turtle soup? I like turtle soup. Let me do it." Meng Yingying volunteered. She personally washed the chopped silver turtles and stuffed them into the pot of stewing soup. She then added some chicken pieces, shiitake mushrooms, and ginger slices. Following that, she began to channel her elemental energy. The entire process was very simple and did not require any training. Spirit energy cooking. This era did not have it, or it could be said it was still very immature. In Chu Tian's era, spirit energy arrays permeated every aspect of life. Spirit energy cooking was a very common skill. Although most people knew a few spirit energy cooking arrays, there weren't many who were proficient in it. This was because frying, boiling, and roasting. In each category, there were at least 100 different spirit energy arrays. Only a top-class spirit energy chef would spend over 10 years to learn all of these techniques. Chu Tian was not a professional spirit energy chef, but he still knew how to use spirit energy cooking arrays. This way, when he went out, especially when he was exploring the wild, he would not have to eat raw demon beast meat. 15 minutes later. Chu Tian nodded his head. The soup is done. So fast? Usually, when we boil soup, it takes more than a few hours to boil. How can traditional cooking methods be compared to spirit energy cooking? Alright, open the pot and let us have a taste. The moment the lid was opened, a strong fragrance wafted out. Meng Yingying almost fainted from the smell. She never thought that food could emit such a tempting smell. She quickly took a bowl and filled a large bowl for herself. The soup was milky white, fragrant and delicious. The taste was mellow, fragrant but not greasy, fresh but not fishy. The bones were stewed just right, the bones were tender and full of chewiness. The mushrooms and chicken were also completely stewed and the taste was completely integrated into the soup. This was simply the best in the world. So hot, so hot. Meng Yingying was like a reincarnated hungry ghost. After drinking a bowl of soup, her skin became hot and her blood felt like it was burning. Chu Tian was much calmer and chewed slowly from start to finish. Demon beast meat is very rich in nutrients and energy. Spirit energy cooking can fully excavate it. Your physique is not strong enough, so you can't eat too much at once. Otherwise, if you overdo it, it will cause problems. After Meng Yingying ate her fill, it was unknown which tendon in her brain was activated. She suddenly stood up and slammed the table. Chu Tian, I've thought it through. Let's do business together. What? Let's go earn money together. Meng Yingying pounced over and grabbed Chu Tian. Both of her hands shook with all her might. The two of them were separated by a table. Chu Tian was sitting while Meng Yingying was standing. When she leaned over, two naughty white rabbits were revealed. Along with the shaking, they jumped and jumped, creating a surging scene. Too naughty. Chu Tian wished he could reach in and teach them a lesson. Chu Tian felt strange. Why did you suddenly think of this? Meng Yingying did not realize she was exposed. Her face was red as she said, I was fired by the teacher. Sister will be very disappointed if she finds out. I don't have the face to tell her. Why don't we use the tuition returned by the teacher as capital? I have the money and you have the skills. Let's work together to earn a lot of money and give her a surprise. Chu Tian asked, then what's your plan? Meng Yingying was an impatient person. She slammed the table and shouted, what plan? Let's go to the stall tonight. Let's go sell steak. Chapter 6. Demon beast meat was nutritious. It could strengthen the body and even increase magic power. Only it could not be cooked without special methods, so ordinary people did not dare to eat it. Even those with high cultivation would eat it in limited amounts, otherwise it would harm their bodies. Chu Tian's magic power cooking method almost solved all the problems. The first time, Meng Yingying had the idea of doing something big. In her life, there had never been a moment when she was filled with power, there had never been a moment when her blood was boiling. She felt that this was the passion of starting a business. This was something she did not even dare to think about before. How could starting a business be so easy? A person as strong as her sister, did she not have to be careful as if she was walking on thin ice? Meng Yingying did not have her sister's calmness and wisdom. She did not have the shrewdness and business acumen of a businessman, but she had the mysterious Chu Tian. With her intuition as a foodie, she had already realized the vast market and business opportunities. This kind of opportunity was too rare. Meng Yingying had just been fired and humiliated by Han Xiaolong. She was at a low point, so she wanted to do something and let everyone see it. Chu Tian did not object and only asked, "What do you plan to do?" "We'll go to the square and sell steak." Meng Yingying ambitiously said, "When we make money, we'll split it in half." When Chu Tian heard this, he almost spat out the tea in his mouth. This thick-skinned chick was a rare gem that only appeared once in 100 years. Did she not see the commercial value of the electric light? Did she not see the commercial value of the fan array? She ignored it all and only thought of selling steak. With this advanced cooking technique, there were many ways to make money. For example, selling the technique to make money, or developing a franchise. Both were very profitable. In the end, Miss Meng Yingying thought of the stupidest method, setting up a stall. Forget it. This was also good. At the very least, she would not ask for a refund. Tiananmen Square was in the center of the city. Nearby were the Mercenary Guild, Talisman Guild, and Alchemist Guild. It was a very lively area. Meng Yingying was an impatient person. She immediately spent 10 gold coins to buy 200 pieces of moonlight cow steak. She then bought some oil, salt, soy sauce and vinegar. She also took some tables, chairs and large umbrellas from home and used a beast carriage to drag Chu Tian to the square. "How much should we sell our steaks for?" Meng Yingying sat in the carriage with a troubled expression. Fresh steaks bought from the market cost 5 silver coins. Chu Tian suggested, "In my opinion, 1 gold coin per serving." Meng Yingying was surprised. "Will anyone buy it if it's so expensive?" 1 gold coin equals 100 silver coins equals 10,000 copper coins. The monthly expenses of an ordinary family of 3 was around 20 to 30 silver coins. Meng Yingying was studying under the famous master Zhang Liqing. Her tuition for 4 years was only 2,000 gold coins. Although the Moonlight Yak was a magic beast, it was the lowest level 1 magic beast. Meng Yingying only spent 10 gold coins to buy 200 pieces of steak. The price of 1 steak was equivalent to 2 months of ordinary people's normal expenses. Would anyone really buy it? Chu Tian explained, "Ordinary people will not eat magic beast meat. Those who can afford to buy magic beast meat are either cultivators or rich people. They won't care about this little bit of money." Chu Tian saw that Meng Yingying was a little worried about personal gains and losses. He immediately took a tough stance and said, "We are a rare commodity. Moreover, we are the only one. If we can't make 10 times the profit, then it's not worth setting up a stall. Listen to me, that's right. But don't forget your promise. If you make money, you have to give me half." When Meng Yingying heard this, she immediately patted her full chest and righteously said, "Don't worry, Meng Yingying, always keep my word. If we can make money, I won't even give you a single copper coin." South Sky Plaza. Tall and straight palm trees stood on both sides of the road. Each palm tree was covered with large fruits. These palm trees were called sun palms. They could absorb sunlight during the day and release light at night to illuminate the road. These plants were equivalent to this world's street lights. There were all kinds of grass and flower beds filled with glowing plants. For example, moonlight mushrooms and luminous night flowers. They were multicolored and extremely beautiful. Tall buildings, shops, and other buildings were all covered with glowing vines. They flickered with a multicolored light, creating an effect similar to a red light. Some of them even formed shiny billboards. Passers-by carried pumpkin lanterns and jellyfish lanterns as they leisurely strolled. Pumpkin lanterns were actually a plant called sunlight pumpkin. When the sunlight pumpkin matured, the entire pumpkin would be plucked and soaked in a special potion, allowing it to retain its freshness for a long time. The sunlight pumpkin could store the light element in the sunlight during the day and would automatically release it at night. It was held in one's hand like a lantern. Jellyfish lanterns were actually a special type of spirit energy organism. Because their spirit energy was very weak, they didn't have any fighting strength. They floated in the wilderness like fireflies and would release light at night. Fluorescent jellyfish reproduced very quickly and were very suitable to be used as a kind of biological lamp. They were specially used to illuminate the road at night. Tiannan City's roads were filled with beast carts. There were giant lizards, giant cows, and even magic beasts. There was a variety of species and it was very magical. This was the city's night scene in this world. Half of it was plants and the other half was the city. The bustling scene of the city and nature perfectly blended together without any contradiction. Meng Yingying was late. The entire square that could be used to set up a stall had almost all been occupied. She could only find a relatively peripheral location to settle down and set up the venue. Quick, quick, quick. I'll get the umbrella. You go and hang up the electric light. The moment the electric light bulb lit up, the surrounding passers-by all raised their eyebrows. The electric light was very bright and the light was very stable. It was far better than biological or crystal lights. However, no one could tell what the electric light was. Meng Yingying was wearing long clothes and trousers, a scarf, and a mask. She was a little nervous, but victory or defeat depended on this one move. She immediately shouted, selling moonlight steaks. Delicious and nutritious steaks. 1 gold coin for one. Meng Yingying shamelessly shouted a few words. Because of the relationship between the light bulb and the beauty, the number of onlookers increased by a lot. Meng Yingying discovered a depressing phenomenon. Although there were a lot of onlookers, no one was interested in the food stall. Her heart couldn't help but become anxious. Could it be that she couldn't sell a single piece in one night? If her first business failed, the blow would be too big. What's so special about this steak that it can be sold for so much? An uncle wearing armor, with a long sword at his waist and an iron bow on his back came over to ask. Before Meng Yingying could open her mouth, Chu Tian rushed to say, "Uncle is our first customer. We'll treat you for free. If you think it's okay, then come and help us promote it a bit." Free? Since there's such a good thing, then I won't stand on ceremony. This was a mercenary who had just returned from a mission. Mercenaries usually didn't lack money. He probably hadn't seen anyone set up a stall to sell magical beast meat, so he came to ask out of curiosity. Now that there was a chance to taste it for free, of course he wouldn't let it go. Chu Tian gave Meng Yingying a look. "Alright, wait a moment." Meng Yingying picked up a piece of steak and put it into the pot. She carefully fried it and personally brought it in front of the mercenary. The well-cooked steak on the plate made the mercenary mutter in his heart. He had been out on missions all year round and had killed many magical beasts. He knew that magical beast meat was very difficult to cook, but this girl seemed to be doing magic. She actually cooked a portion in a few minutes. Could this be fake? The mercenary used a knife to cut a piece of meat and carefully put it in his mouth. Hiss! The mercenary's brows immediately furrowed. This made Meng Yingying's heart clench. She was afraid that the steak wasn't to her taste. The mercenary didn't comment and immediately cut another piece of meat and put it in his mouth. He ate very quickly. In less than 3 minutes, the entire steak was in his stomach. Good. The mercenary wiped his mouth and stood up. He laughed heartily. "This meat is really good. It's definitely worth it." Meng Yingying revealed an ecstatic expression. "Thank you, uncle." Although she didn't make any money, it was still exciting to win his recognition. The mercenary took out 3 gold coins without hesitation. "This is such a delicious thing. I want to bring it back for my wife and kids to try. Pack 3 for me." She really succeeded. This was not only the first business of the day, but it was also the first time in Meng Yingying's life that she had made money. It had an immeasurable significance and value. If she told this to her sister, she would definitely be very happy. When Meng Yingying received the money, she almost jumped in excitement. 3 gold coins was equivalent to half a month's worth of pocket money. She had easily earned it. She couldn't wait to hug Chu Tian to celebrate, but there was an even more pleasant surprise to come. Isn't that Wang Laosi from the Ferocious Tiger Mercenary Group? He's very picky. If he's satisfied, could it be that it's really delicious? Who knows? Let's go and try it. 2 little bosses, 1 here. I'll have 1 too. The mercenary's reaction attracted many people's attention. Immediately, a few people dressed as mercenaries came over to try it. The result was surprisingly good. The stall's popularity skyrocketed. Chu Tian and Meng Yingying were busy serving the steak piece by piece. Delicious. The taste is really good. Pack one for me. This is too delicious. I'll tell my brothers in the group and let them come and try it. Boss, you have to come often in the future. We will continue to take care of you. Golden coins fell into the money bag one by one. Meng Yingying's mouth was almost crooked from smiling. She had never been as happy as she was today. She had never been as passionate and accomplished as she was today. She was like a lost person who had found her direction, her value, and position. This feeling was really good. Most of the customers were mercenaries. Mercenaries were forthright and generous. Although Chu Tian had prepared 3 pots, the popularity of the business was clearly beyond his expectations. Both of their cultivations were not high, so they could only take turns to recover their elemental energy to cook the steak. In 2 hours, they had sold more than 100 servings. Chu Tian and Meng Yingying were about to go into shock from exhaustion. Meng Yingying took advantage of the break to run to another stall and bought 2 cold drinks. She handed one to Chu Tian. Our business is too good. We're almost too busy. We should hire more people to increase our profits. Do you even have a brain? Chu Tian wiped the sweat off his forehead with a dirty towel and drank a big mouthful of fruit juice. Since the response is so good, we should increase our investment. For example, we should register a chamber of commerce and open a hotel. We should think of ways to establish our own brand. What can we achieve by just setting up a stall? Meng Yingying nodded like a chick pecking at rice. Yes. Save up first and then open the shop. I'll listen to you. Meng Yingying tasted the sweetness and became more courageous. Zhang Liqing returned 2,000 gold coins. She decided to keep it and not hand it over. As long as she could make it, not only would her sister not blame her, she would even be proud of her. Right? That's right. As long as she followed Chu Tian, she would definitely have a rich future. Chapter 7. In the wee hours of the morning, business started to slow down. Meng Yingying weighed the heavy purse in her hand. Although she did not manage to get a good spot today, she still had a glorious victory. Just as she was about to pack up and go home to count the money, she suddenly heard a few sharp voices. Wah, boss, your meat isn't fresh at all. I ate 2 mouthfuls and now my stomach hurts. There's definitely a problem with this meat. You have to give me an explanation. For customers wearing leather armor kept on shouting. The leader had tattoos all over his body, a strong body, and a fierce face. One look and it was obvious that he was not a good person. Meng Yingying was afraid that it would affect her business and immediately went to explain. Our ingredients are very fresh. There can't be any problems. The tattooed man slammed the table. Fuck, I don't care. My brother ate your food and has a stomachache. You have to take responsibility. That's right. Do you know who our brother Long is? Another ruffian stood up and arrogantly shouted, "One word from Brother Long, and you guys can forget about staying here forever." Brother Long had the strength of a 3rd-rank body refinement cultivator. He had a lot of battle experience, and his strength was not ordinary. He usually brought along a group of thugs to bully the weak, extort money, and commit all sorts of crimes. He was a famous local tyrant in the area, and normal people did not dare to provoke him. The profits from the stall were too high, and it was hard to avoid people's eyes turning red. These people were probably looking for trouble. Meng Yingying did not think about how to deal with this situation. She was naturally weak, and thought that she could not let a small matter ruin her business in the future. These ruffians were just extorting money. As long as it was not too excessive, it was not impossible to lose money. Meng Yingying thought about this and said, "We just arrived, and do not know the rules. If there's anything wrong, please teach us." This girl gave in so quickly? This meant that she most likely did not have a strong background. You're quite sensible. Brother Long not only did not stop while he was ahead, but became more courageous. How about this? Pay me 1,000 gold coins and hand over the pots. I promise you'll be fine in the future. Meng Yingying's face changed. You guys are extorting us. How can we have 1,000 gold coins? Actually, I don't want to make things difficult for you. Brother Long sized up Meng Yingying with interest, his lecherous gaze revealing a trace of lust. How about this? You come with us and let us play for a night, then we'll forget about the money. When the ruffians heard this, their lust was aroused. Ha, Brother Long, you really are a good friend. That's right, even the most expensive red card in Tiannan City doesn't cost 1,000 gold coins. But then again, this chick has big breasts and a perky butt. I don't think she's inferior to those top courtesans. Although she was wearing a mask, her skin was fair and tender. Her thighs were straight and well-proportioned, and the size of her chest was even more astonishing. Her figure was curvy and charming. She was definitely a rare beauty. It wasn't the first time he had done something like this, but he had never encountered such an exquisite product. Meng Yingying was so angry that her face turned pale. At the same time, she could feel the other party's restless gaze. She could not help but panic. This is too much. I'm going to report you to the law enforcement team. Ha ha. Don't worry, after we've had our fun, you can go report them. Who knows, after you've had your fun here, you can have your fun there again. The ruffians laughed unscrupulously. Only an idiot would say such naive words. How could a local bully do evil? Those that needed to be bribed had already been bribed, so why would they be afraid of this kind of threat? Chu Tian had long since noticed that something was wrong. He first settled the bill for the guests, then picked up a frying pan and slowly walked over. You're this chick's boyfriend, right? Chu Tian had not said a single word from start to finish. This made the ruffians feel that he was also a weak idiot. Moreover, Chu Tian's spirit energy was very weak. This kind of strength was not a threat at all. The ruffian pulled out a knife and pointed it at Chu Tian. Let me tell you, Brother Long has taken a liking to your woman. He wants to borrow her to play with for a night. Brother Long wants to play with your woman, this is your honor. You better know what's good for you or else. Ping. Chu Tian waved his right hand, and the frying pan heavily slammed into the ruffian's face. From the spirit energy array, an extremely strong heat burst forth. Half of the ruffian's face was burnt to the point that his skin was peeling off. Chu Tian then heavily kicked his crotch, sending him flying a few meters away. I'm finished. I'm completely finished. The ruffian cried out miserably as he rolled on the ground. One hand covered his burnt face, the other hand held his cracked balls, crying out in fear and despair. Everyone was shocked. This brat was truly a ruthless character. Without a word, he directly made his move. One move to destroy his face, one move to end his future. His ruthlessness caused everyone to tremble in fear. Motherfucker. Brother Long revealed an angry expression. You're not even at the first rank of body refinement and you dare cripple one of my subordinates. You're simply seeking death. Go. Get rid of him. The two ruffians were at the second rank of body refinement. No matter how you looked at it, Chu Tian was not their opponent. Even though he had just knocked down one of them, in the eyes of others, it was purely a sneak attack. Now that Brother Long's two subordinates were here, perhaps Chu Tian would not have the strength to resist. Wait. Meng Yingying revealed a panicked expression. If you let him go, I'll give you 1,000 gold coins. Too late. We must cripple him today. One of the ruffian's legs kicked the ground as he pounced forward. His fist was surrounded by a faint white light as he gathered his spirit energy and smashed it towards Chu Tian's face. Chu Tian was only slightly stronger than a normal person. How could he withstand the attack of a second-rank body refinement cultivator? The spirit energy in a martial artist's body could not only activate a spirit energy array, but it could also increase one's speed, strength, defense, etc. These people's spirit energy was obviously several times that of Chu Tian's. Just a casual punch would have a few hundred kilograms of strength. Even a bull could be easily knocked down. If they wanted to kill Chu Tian in a second, it would be a piece of cake. Chu Tian did not move at all. In the eyes of others, it was obvious that he was too slow and could not react in time. Don't. Meng Yingying let out a cry of alarm. Chu Tian was very calm. He quickly kicked out as if he had foreseen it. When his foot lifted, it just happened to step on the opponent's crotch. The opponent's fist stopped a few centimeters in front of Chu Tian. The wind from the fist even messed up Chu Tian's hair. This scene was too strange. Chu Tian's speed and power couldn't compare to the opponent. At first glance, it looked like the opponent had taken the initiative to send his vital part to Chu Tian's leg. But the ruffian fell to the ground. His shrill scream echoed again. Chu Tian's foot stepped on the opponent's face, breaking his nose on the spot. At this time, another ruffian stabbed over with a knife. Chu Tian's footsteps were light as he slightly leaned to the side. The blade of the knife missed by a hair's breadth. Damn it! Go die! The ruffian flew into a rage out of humiliation. He quickly brandished his knife. The knife speed was very fast and the angle was very tricky. It made people tremble in fear. This person's knife skills were obviously quite good. However, Chu Tian was like a butterfly flying through flowers. Every time he dodged by a hair's breadth. It looked extremely dangerous, but in reality he was very calm. Chu Tian's mouth hung a trace of a sneer. Really full of flaws. If he couldn't even deal with this kind of trash, Chu Tian might as well just kill himself. When the ruffian attacked again, Chu Tian took a step forward and calmly dodged the knife. He suddenly lifted his right leg and slammed it heavily into the opponent's crotch. The ruffian fell to the ground. His face turned green as he screamed and twitched. His hands covered his crotch. Large amounts of blood and stinky liquid flowed out. It seemed like he couldn't avoid the ending of his family line. Oh my God! This kid's attacks are too ruthless. That's really strange. It seems like those two fellows sent their balls up for him to explode. Chu Tian, with his absolute weak strength, defeated an opponent several times stronger than him. Moreover, he did it with ease. It was almost impossible. Everyone was shocked. Brother Long also didn't understand what was going on. Although his brothers weren't battle-hardened, they had been in the army for 2 years. Whether it was in terms of battle experience or the strength of their elemental energy, they shouldn't have lost to this kid who hadn't even grown his hair yet. Meng Yinying's face flushed red with excitement. Good hit, good hit. Not only did this guy know strange knowledge, he was also so good at fighting. What a pleasant surprise. Brother Long was clearly enraged. With a kung sound, he drew a long sword from his waist. Insignificant tricks. Today I'll let you see that in front of absolute strength, your tricks are useless. Brother Long was at the 3rd rank of body refinement. His elemental energy was naturally stronger than his brother's. Therefore his strength, speed, and defense were all a level higher. Chu Tian shrugged his shoulders. I'll give it a try. Brother Long angrily roared and suddenly rushed forward. He drew a cold light and stabbed towards Chu Tian's chest. This Brother Long's strength was indeed impressive. This sword was focused on elemental energy. Therefore it was fierce and fast. Even rocks could be easily split apart. It was not something that his brothers could compare to. Chu Tian slightly moved his body to dodge. The sword missed by a millimeter and brushed past his left side. A faint sword chi swept past and a few strands of hair fell to the ground. It was extremely dangerous. Haha, too slow. Accept your death. Brother Long fully released his elemental energy. His sword chi burst forth and he continuously slashed out several times. Chu Tian did not panic. Like a graceful swallow, he dodged the attack by a small margin. What the hell was going on? Brother Long showed an expression of disbelief. Chu Tian was being held back by his cultivation level. It was impossible for him to be fast. Every movement seemed to have undergone thousands of calculations, and they were almost precise down to the millimeter and the micrometer. Because of this, he was able to use the smallest of movements to dodge every dangerous attack. He was as nimble as a loach, leaving Brother Long with no way to deal with him. Oh my God! This is hyperfocus. Someone in the crowd cried out in shock, causing the others to wake up. There were hundreds of thousands of body refinement cultivators in Tiannan City, but only a few dozen awakened soul cultivators. Not even 2 of them could enter hyperfocus. This kid did not even have the strength of a first-rank body refinement cultivator. How could he enter hyperfocus? This hyperfocus referred to a cultivator's perfect control over their body. It allowed them to be as precise as a machine. For a cultivator with the hyperfocused ability, every millimeter was like a meter in their eyes. They could even control the speed of their heartbeat, the size of their pores, and so on. Hyperfocus was a kind of ability. This kind of ability required sufficient talent. After a long period of training and comprehension, only then could one comprehend it. This kind of ability not only gave them an advantage in battle, but it was also a great help in alchemy and talisman making. The number of people in Tiannan City who could enter hyperfocus could be counted on one's fingers. Which one of them was not a top expert? This kid did not even have the strength of a first-rank body refinement cultivator. How could he enter this legendary realm? Brother Long panicked at this moment. Never had he imagined that this seemingly inconspicuous kid would actually possess the legendary ability of minute subtlety. No wonder he was able to accurately predict attacks and dodge them with the smallest of movements, allowing him to easily deal with an opponent that was several times stronger than him with his weak strength. I don't care what hyperfocus you are. Today you must die. Brother Long threw caution to the wind. With a furious roar, he released all his energy. His long sword flashed with a faint light. In an instant his speed doubled, and he slashed at Chu Tian head-on. Like a leaf in the wind, or like a butterfly in a bush, Chu Tian lightly floated a few centimeters away. The sword avoided the attack by a few millimeters, and a crack appeared on the ground. Chu Tian's right hand suddenly waved, and like a pincer, he grabbed Brother Long's jaw. His body went around Brother Long's back, and pressed on the back of his head. How could this be? Brother Long showed a frightened expression. Because his movements were too big, he could not stop in time. Stop. Gotcha. Everyone heard the crisp sound of bones breaking. Brother Long's neck was twisted at a strange angle. His eyes were wide open, his pupils dilated, and his mouth opened wide. He was like a fish out of water. He was gasping for breath, and eventually he lost his breath. Meng Yingying showed a frightened expression. Chu Tian, why did you kill him? To kill, one must be prepared to be killed. Chu Tian killed a third-rank body refinement cultivator as casually as drinking water. He did it without batting an eyelid. Moreover, if this kind of scum lives another day, perhaps more innocent people will be harmed. It's good that he's dead. This kind of person deserves it. That's right, good kill. Everyone cheered. From the crowd came the sound of armor rubbing against each other. 8 or 9 soldiers wearing armor quickly surrounded them. This was the law enforcement team. Chapter 8. The captain of the guards revealed an angry expression. Brother Long was just a small local bully, but he was still capable. At the same time, he knew the rules and was a very important source of income. Now that his source of income had been cut off, how could he not be angry? Who killed him? Stand out. Everyone's gaze focused on Chu Tian. The captain of the guards angrily scolded, "Good, killing someone on the streets, disregarding the law, this is unforgivable. Come with me, or else you won't be able to avoid suffering." Meng Yingying stood up for Chu Tian. "I don't accept this. It was these people who bullied us." Chu Tian was just defending himself. Everyone saw it. Who saw it? The captain of the guards turned his head and pointed at a few people. You? Or you? Whoever saw this kid was defending himself, stand out and testify. The crowd whispered. No one dared to speak. At this time, a ruffian who was knocked down by Chu Tian struggled to stand up, crying out, "Captain, I'm innocent, I'm innocent." The captain of the guards harumphed and said, "If you have anything to say, just say it. This captain is impartial and will seek justice for the victim." The ruffian stared at Chu Tian with a venomous gaze, tears and snot dripping down his face as he said, "We didn't come here to eat, but who knew we would be blackmailed by these two? Boss was just angry and wanted to reason with them, but who knew they would sneak attack and kill our boss? There are people who would believe such words?" Meng Yingying almost exploded in anger. What nonsense! The ruffian kneeled on the ground, tears streaming down his face. "Sir, please seek justice." "Good, now the situation is very clear." The captain of the guards waved his hand. "These two are suspected of robbery and murder. Immediately send them to jail." The security guards and ruffians were in cahoots. Not only were they unable to reason with them, they even twisted the truth and made a false accusation. Meng Yingying angrily shouted, "We will not go with you, you are simply bandits and robbers." The captain sneered, "Robbery, assault, murder, and now arrest, these are all serious crimes, no one can save you. Go, take them down." Ordinary security guards were at least at the third rank of body refinement. Even though Chu Tian had hyperfocus ability, he could handle one of them, but a few at once would be troublesome. Not to mention the captain was even stronger, Chu Tian would have a hard time dealing with them. At this time, a voice came from the crowd. "Tiannan City's face has been lost by you maggots. Someone actually dared to challenge him? You're courting death." The guard captain flew into a rage. "Who's talking? Come out." As soon as he finished speaking, a woman in red walked out from the crowd. She had snow-white smooth thighs, long high-heeled boots, and beautiful red hair that flowed like a waterfall. She was extremely beautiful and had a fiery temperament. With just one look, one could tell that she was a fiery woman. The captain pulled out his sword. "I don't care what kind of background you have, since you have provoked our law enforcement team, don't think you can escape unscathed. Bring her back, I will personally interrogate her and make her regret her actions today." The captain unsheathed his military uniform from his waist. "I don't care what kind of background you have. Since you dared to provoke our law enforcement team, don't even think about leaving unscathed. Bring her back as well. I'll interrogate her myself and make her regret what she did today." The soldiers all pulled out their swords and surrounded her. Nangong Yun's face turned cold. Her long red hair suddenly danced without any wind, and a surge of hot energy surged out from her body. It suddenly turned into a red light, and like an erupting volcano, it sprayed into the air. A loud and clear phoenix cry resounded in the air. A strong wave of pressure instantly burst out. The surrounding people felt their blood freeze. "Ah! Spirit source. She is an awakened spirit cultivator." Everyone was shocked. Tiannan City had millions of people, hundreds of thousands of body refinement cultivators, but only a few dozen awakened spirit cultivators. Every awakened spirit cultivator was mysterious and powerful. Ordinary people would never have the chance to see one. Nangong Yun was at the peak of the 9th body refinement layer, half a step into the awakened spirit realm, so she could barely awaken a part of her spirit. From the red light that erupted out, one could faintly see a blurry phantom. It had the head of a chicken, the jaw of a swallow, the neck of a snake, the back of a turtle, and the tail of a fish. It was majestic and incomparably majestic, and it emitted an intense pressure that caused others to feel intimidated. Fire Phoenix Spirit. She is Nangong Yun. So young at the 9th body refinement layer, in the entire Tiannan City, there were only two. Everyone knew, the Nangong family had a fire attribute spirit. The daughter of the Tiannan City Lord was a genius that appeared once every few hundred years. The owner of the Fire Phoenix Spirit, her potential was unimaginable, so her reputation spread far and wide. Spirit is a cultivator's basic strength. Spirit is a cultivator's source of strength. Every cultivator has their own spirit. When their cultivation reaches the awakened spirit realm, their spirit will completely awaken, transforming into a specific form, such as a demon beast, a plant, or an object. The spirit form is a direct reflection of talent, ability, and potential. The stronger the spirit, the stronger the strength, and the greater the potential. Nangong Yun's spirit form was a Fire Phoenix. What kind of divine being was the Fire Phoenix? Nangong Yun had a very high talent and battle strength. She could sweep away ordinary cultivators of the same level. Chu Tian was also a little surprised. Although it is not a complete Fire Phoenix, although it has not completely awakened, its growth potential is very large. In such a small place to meet this kind of rare spirit. It is a little interesting. Didn't you want to catch me? Nangong Yun was enveloped in a surging fire spirit power. With every step she took, the heat increased, making it hard for people to breathe. Why are you stunned? Quickly do it. We really didn't know it was young miss. The captain was so scared that his face turned pale. He immediately fell to the ground and kowtowed a few times. I won't dare again. I beg young miss to spare my rotten life. Nangong Yun was not only an awakened spirit realm expert. She was the mayor's only daughter, Zhang Liqing's successor. In front of Nangong Yun, these people were no different than small shrimps. Nangong Yun was enveloped in a blazing red light. Her entire person was like a goddess descending to earth. The surging spirit power was like a surging river. You mean, I can't casually bully you, but others can? The captain was scared out of his wits. Spare me. I've been possessed, I won't dare again. Save these words for the people who were killed. South Sky City does not have a place for a worm like you. Condensed spirit power. A finger in the air. A dazzling flame instantly turned the captain into a human-shaped fireball. He screamed miserably and struggled crazily. About 3 to 4 seconds later, the screams came to an abrupt end. In the end, all that was left was a charred human silhouette, charred from head to toe. Too strong. Was this the strength of a peak 9th body refinement cultivator? A small portion of her source spirit's power was already so strong it made people tremble. If her source spirit was completely awakened, just how heaven-defying would Nangong Yun be? Nangong Yun slowly withdrew the power of her source spirit. Her eyes swept over the other soldiers. You are all in cahoots. This is also unforgivable. You will all cripple your own cultivation and scram out of South Sky City. Cripple their own cultivation? So ruthless. This time they were completely screwed. But crippling their cultivation, at least they could be ordinary people. It was better than losing their captain's life. Nangong Yun's fierce name. There were not many people in South Sky City that did not know. This kind of ending was already very good. Thank you young miss for not killing us. The soldiers ruthlessly attacked their dantian, the many years of hard work of cultivating spirit power. In an instant it all dissipated. After losing all their spirit power, they became ordinary people. We'll scram immediately. The soldiers' faces were ashen. They supported each other and quickly left the place. The crowd burst into cheers. This group of maggots and local bullies colluded with each other, causing them to suffer unspeakably. Now that they were finally eradicated, everyone let out a long sigh of relief. Meng Yingying already knew that Nangong Yun was strong, but she never thought that she would be strong to this degree. Nangong Yun was the strong. Then how strong was Zhang Liqing? Meng Yingying quickly walked over. Elder senior sister, why did you come here? Nangong Yun acted as if nothing had happened. She casually sat down. I heard that the steak here is especially delicious, so I wanted to try it. What? Elder sister helped you beat the bad guys. Don't tell me you don't want to treat me to steak. Meng Yingying nodded her head. All right, wait a minute. An old voice came over. I'll also have a piece. Meng Yingying saw the other person and almost peed her pants. Old? Master Zhang, why did you also come? This was an old man wearing a gray robe. His hair was white and he looked very old. At first glance he looked very ordinary, but there was no one in South Sky City that didn't know him. He was the famous South Sky City Symbol Master Guild's president Zhang Liqing. At the same time he was one of the strongest people in South Sky City. Zhang Liqing was not an idiot. He was very clear on how much weight Meng Yingying had. After his mind cooled down, Zhang Liqing had already guessed that the homework handed in today could not have been completed by Meng Yingying herself. There must be a hidden expert by her side. Zhang Liqing's eyes fell on Chu Tian. After a few minutes, Meng Yingying brought the steak over. Nangong Yun cut a small piece and put it in her mouth. Her eyes lit up. Wah, it's really delicious. Zhang Liqing did not care about the taste of the steak. He cared more about the source energy array on the pan. He curiously asked, this source energy array to cook demon beast meat, how did you think of it? Chu Tian bluntly said, old man, eat your food, don't ask so much. Meng Yingying quickly used her elbow to hit Chu Tian. She winked and said, what are you saying? Do you know who he is? Chu Tian disdainfully snorted, you can't be too dishonest. People who fish for fame, I don't like it. Meng Yingying felt that her little heart could not take it. Zhang Liqing was a person of great stature. Chu Tian dared to openly mock him. Was he not afraid of being killed? With Zhang Liqing's strength, even if he moved a finger, he could still kill him 10 times. I'm sorry, this is a trade secret. It is inappropriate for this old man to ask. Zhang Liqing not only did not get angry, but his heart calmed down. He understood the meaning behind Chu Tian's words. It seems like the blueprint was most likely made by this person. There were some misunderstandings, but it was not worth mentioning. The feeling that Chu Tian gave him was too mysterious. To be able to enter hyperfocus at such a young age, it was almost unheard of. This person was most likely from a super family, or even a hidden sex core successor, coming to this small city to gain experience. This kind of person could not be offended, otherwise those big powers would be angry and trample over South Sky City. It would be as easy as turning their hand. Chu Tian snappily said, "It's good that you know." Zhang Liqing faintly smiled. This old man was just watching little friends battle. You have already comprehended hyperfocus at such a young age. This makes this old man blush with shame. I want to organize an academic exchange. I would like to invite you to come and share your experience. Of course, I will not mistreat you in terms of compensation. Meng Yingying felt like the world was spinning. Chu Tian's attitude was so arrogant, but Master Zhang was not angry. Instead, he shamelessly invited him to give a lecture. Was there a mistake? A master-level character put down his pride to invite a kid who hasn't even grown his hair yet. Chu Tian directly refused, not interested. Nangong Yun stood up and said, "Little brat, you have to understand, this old man has a lot of money, the compensation will definitely not be small. This is secondary, you will become famous overnight. From now on no one in South Sky City will dare to touch you. It's like a meat pie falling from the sky." Chu Tian still refused. "I don't have time." Zhang Liqing calmly said, "I can wait. When you have time, we can talk about this." Meng Yingying wanted to stomp Chu Tian's foot. How many people dream of this opportunity? With Master Zhang Liqing's personal recommendation, without a doubt he would be in the limelight. It also meant that Zhang Liqing wanted to support this young man. Chu Tian's overnight fame was inevitable. He would be able to obtain countless connections and resources. The power contained in this was hard to imagine. Chu Tian shook his head. "Forgive me for speaking bluntly, but you don't have long to live." Meng Yingying sucked in a breath of cold air. Nangong Yun also stared with wide eyes. Not only did Chu Tian not agree to attend the exchange, he even cursed Master Zhang Liqing to his face. What kind of medicine was this? Chapter 9. Zhang Liqing's expression did not change. "I don't understand, please enlighten me." Chu Tian went straight to the point. "From your walking posture, complexion, and breathing, I can see that your heart is not good." Zhang Liqing's eyes twitched, then he smiled and said, "When people get old, their organs will inevitably fail. What's so strange about that?" Chu Tian continued, "But your strength is not low, and your spirit energy is abundant, enough to slow down organ failure for 40 to 50 years. Now that your heart is failing prematurely, it is definitely not natural. There must be other reasons, am I right?" "Amazing, amazing, little friend can see clearly, this old man does have an old illness." Zhang Liqing laughed. "However, this old man is still healthy and healthy. I don't look like someone who is about to die." "You're exaggerating. You know in your heart, this is nothing more than relying on large amounts of medicine to maintain your life, that's all." Chu Tian exposed him, then went straight to the point. "There is a black gas on your left wrist. It is a poison suppressed by spirit energy. Every night at midnight, when the poisonous gas flows against the flow, you will feel your heart beating erratically, and your Tianxi acupoint, Tianchong acupoint, Tianzhu acupoint, Zhigung acupoint, Shanzhong acupoint, and so on will feel like thousands of ants are gnawing on them, right?" Zhang Liqing's body slightly trembled. Chu Tian continued, "It is the heart-corroding poison. About 15 years ago." Nangong Yun looked at Zhang Liqing, her face full of surprise. Even though she knew her teacher's heart was not good, she never knew that her teacher was poisoned. Was this true? Zhang Liqing slowly stood up, tidied his robe, and solemnly bowed to Chu Tian, even changing the way he addressed him. "Mr. is indeed an extraordinary person, what you said is not wrong. 15 years ago when exploring the ruins, this old man was careless and was poisoned by this heart-corroding poison. These years, I have used all my spirit energy to suppress the poison, but I still could not get rid of this stubborn poison. I have searched for famous doctors and pharmacists, but they were all helpless, so I have basically given up. You forcefully suppressed the poison for too long and did not know how to channel it, so now the poison has penetrated into your bone marrow, so you only have 2 months left to live. Zhang Liqing smiled in a carefree manner. It's a pleasure for me to meet such an extraordinary person like you before I die. Nangong Yun had always known that her teacher had a weak heart, but she never imagined that it was caused by poison. She had been learning from her teacher for so many years, but she had never seen her teacher fight. She had always thought that her teacher was biding his time, but it turned out that her teacher was using his essence force to suppress the poison, and did not have any spare energy to fight. Done. Chu Tian patted the dumbfounded Meng Yingying beside him. The steaks are almost sold out. We should call it a day and go home. Meng Yingying was getting more and more curious about Chu Tian. How capable was this guy? The two of them began to pack their things. Nangong Yun hurriedly asked, "Hey, since you can see through it, do you know how to cure it?" Chu Tian turned around and said, "Yes." Nangong Yun revealed a happy expression. "Really?" Chu Tian's tone changed. "But why should I help him?" Nangong Yun was left speechless. This was Zhang Liqing, Grandmaster Zhao. Saving Zhang Liqing's life, how big of a reward would that be? How many people would he offend if he did not help? He did not care at all. It was all up to his own likes and dislikes. "Let him go." Zhang Liqing waved his hand and stopped Nangong Yun. This kind of person clearly has a shocking amount of knowledge. He doesn't need to fight for fame and fortune, but he is still willing to help Meng Yingying with her homework. He can easily obtain great wealth, but he is still willing to sell steaks. Hidden in the city, this is the world's most extraordinary person. Old man, this might be our only chance. We can definitely capture him and force him to tell us the cure. Yunair, you are too young. You must not do this kind of thing. Not only will it harm your morals, but it could also offend a big power. Even your Nangong family would not be able to bear it. Zhang Liqing was not anxious. He revealed a wise smile. Moreover, he is a smart person. If he really does not want to save me, why would he tell me this? Think about it, with my influence and power in Tiannan City, isn't he just causing trouble for himself? I don't understand. First, he misunderstood me. He blamed me for being greedy. Not only did I accept his gift, but I also expelled Meng Yingying. So he wanted to show me his strength. Nangong Yun interrupted. This matter is a misunderstanding. The things he wrote were all burned by those good-for-nothings. Zhang Liqing continued. Second, he wants me to know that he is the only person who can save me. So in the following period of time, no matter how much trouble he causes, or how big of a disaster he causes, I must ensure his safety. Nangong Yun suddenly understood. This guy is really an old fox. Meng Yingying sat on the beast carriage and asked, Chu Tian, can you really save Master Zhang? Of course. Is it difficult to save him? It's not difficult. Then why not? Chu Tian didn't seem to care about this matter. What are you so anxious about? He won't die so soon. Let's hang him for a while. Meng Yingying was completely speechless. She couldn't understand Chu Tian's way of thinking. Chu Tian suddenly thought of something and immediately sat up. How much did we earn today? Quickly take it out and have a look. It's time to split the money. Meng Yingying poured out the gold coins from her purse and began to count them one by one. We've only set up the stall for 3 hours and we've earned a total of 140 gold coins. According to the agreement, you have 70 gold coins. Here, this is yours. Meng Yingying straightforwardly gave out half of the gold coins. The money they earned in one night was almost equivalent to a year's worth of pocket money. On the first day, they didn't have enough manpower, materials, and experience, so they limited their income. If they could make a name for themselves, then they could expand and open a few more branches. Earning a few hundred gold coins a day wouldn't be a problem. If they counted it this way, they could easily earn a few thousand gold coins a month. Because they didn't have any competitors, they could easily break into other cities' markets. Southern Cloud Commerce had 8 shops, but the average monthly revenue was only 20 to 30,000 gold coins. Their net profit was probably around 10,000 gold coins. This small steak stall, if managed well, would definitely be able to catch up to the business sister had painstakingly managed. Meng Yingying thought, if sister knew this, would she be happy or depressed? Wait, stop the car. What? I have a bit of money, I want to buy something. Meng Yingying didn't even think before saying, I'm going too. Chu Tian was very puzzled. What are you going to do? Meng Yingying blinked her eyes. I'm curious. An old senior once told Chu Tian that once a woman developed a strong curiosity towards a man, there were only two effective ways to resolve it. First, kill her. Second, sleep with her. Tiannan City, Mayor's Mansion. A purple-robed middle-aged man sat in front of a desk. His temples were slightly white, his square face was not angry, but he was powerful. Both his hands held a scroll, and his eyebrows were tightly knitted, as if he had encountered something difficult. Tiannan City's mayor, Nangong Yi. The mayor was the pinnacle of power in the city. Whether the mayor lived a good life or not depended on the mayor's location. Tiannan City was located at the remote border of the kingdom. Bandits, foreign races, and beasts, any one of them was enough to make a person suffer. Not to mention, there were often all kinds of unexplainable strange things that happened there. For this reason, Nangong Yi had to spend a lot of effort. However, what really made Nangong Yi's hair turn white was not the matter of the territory, but the troublemaking daughter. The study door was brutally kicked open. The guards on both sides were silent, no one dared to stop her. Dad, guess what I brought back? Nangong Yun kicked open the study door and rushed in. Midnight snack? Nangong Yi helplessly closed the scroll. What are you trying to do this time? Hey, what are you talking about? Dad works so hard, even in the wee hours of the morning. Of course I have to eat something to make up for it. You don't need to do that. Nangong Yun directly opened the bag and took out the food one by one. Your favorite elven red wine, delicious roasted fish from the south of the city, medicinal porridge from the west of the city, and the last one is incredible. The super delicious moonlight steak. Try it and see how it tastes. Nangong Yi looked at the steak. Why is there less than half? Nangong Yun's face turned red. What if someone wants to harm you? As your daughter, of course I have to test the poison with my body and eat half of it. That's not important. Quickly try it. Nangong Yi cut a small piece and put it in his mouth, closing his eyes to feel it carefully. Nangong Yi was very particular about eating and immediately felt that the beef was different. The meat is soft, tender and juicy. The meat of a magical beast can be cooked so well. It is indeed extraordinary. Where did you buy it? Nangong Yun directly extended her hand to Nangong Yi. You don't need to worry about that. Give me the money. Nangong Yi was not surprised at all, as if he had already expected it. How much? Nangong Yun did not even think and said, 50,000 gold coins. This time, Nangong Yi almost choked to death. Cough, cough, cough. How much? 50,000 gold coins. Your daughter, I want to invest in a big project. With countless history lessons in front of him, Nangong Yi would not believe his daughter's words. I can at most give you 200 gold coins as pocket money. This is the last time this month. Don't mention the investment to me again. Nangong Yun was anxious. Dad, you have to believe me. How can I believe you? South Sky City has a genius. So what? There are geniuses everywhere these days. He invented a pot that can specially cook magical beast meat. This steak is cooked from that pot. Even an idiot can cook delicious magical beast meat. Their business has just started. They still haven't started yet. I will appear as an angel investor. In the future I will definitely make a lot of money. Within half a year, I promise to pay you back with interest. No, I promise to pay you back double. Don't even think about this matter. I'm really not lying. Haven't you had enough of being a poor mayor? Believe me, in just 1 or 2 years you will be rich. Those snobs in the family will all kneel down and lick our boots. Nangong Yun's saliva was dry from talking. Nangong Yi firmly opposed. Idiot. Idiot. Stupid dad. Just you wait to regret it. Why did you take away my supper? Who said it was yours? This is a snack I bought for Dubai to eat. Nangong Yun slammed the door and left, turning hostile faster than flipping a book. Nangong Yi could not do anything to his daughter. She had always liked to cause trouble since she was young, but there was a limit to it. It was not that the mayor's mansion could not take out tens of thousands of gold coins, but he could not let his daughter squander it. Perhaps Nangong Yi himself did not expect this. This time, he had really miscalculated. Chapter 10. Tiannan Alchemy Market. Chu Tian walked in with Meng Yinging. A beautiful salesgirl greeted them and asked, "Welcome to the alchemy market, what would you like to buy?" Black gold ginseng, 6-colored sunflower, earth silkworm chrysalis, earth scorpion, purple gold bone, and the most important 3 lives demonic insect. Chu Tian reported a long list of materials without hesitation. 2 of each, hurry up. The salesgirl swallowed her saliva and said, 3 lives demonic insect is a very rare material. Tiannan Alchemy Market only sells a dozen or so every month. Your luck is very good. Right now there are 2 of them, each priced at 50 gold coins. Adding the other materials, the total is 291 gold coins. Chu Tian looked at the dumbfounded Meng Yinging and said, "One of them is for you. Don't ask too many questions, you won't regret it." Such an expensive thing, Meng Yinging would not have dared to buy it even if you beat her to death. But now it was different. She felt that she could make money, and with confidence, she became more generous. Enduring the pain, she took out 291 gold coins, and the 2 of them took the ingredients, preparing to leave. Suddenly, a huge fat body walked over. "Wait, I want these 3 lives demonic insects." The salesgirl revealed a fearful expression. "Steward Yi? You know it's me, then why are you still talking nonsense?" Steward Yi was a short and fat middle-aged man. At this moment he impatiently waved his hand. "Young master is at a critical moment in alchemy. If there is a delay, can you bear the responsibility?" The salesgirl looked at Chu Tian with an awkward expression. "But the customer has already paid. According to the rules here, I have no right to take back the goods I have sold. Fuck." Steward Yi slapped the salesgirl's face. "Fuck your rules, pack your things and scram. Don't come here again. Quickly scram." The salesgirl covered her swollen face, kneeled on the ground and cried, I'm really sorry, please forgive me. I can't lose this job, please forgive me master." "Scram immediately." Steward Yi ignored the shop assistant and looked at Chu Tian. Seeing that Chu Tian was dressed in ordinary clothes and covered in grease, a trace of disdain flashed in his eyes. "Brat, are you a blockhead or deaf? Didn't you hear that I need the 3 lives demonic insect? I'll pay 80 gold coins. Hurry up and give me 2 servings of 3 lives worms." Meng Yinging was already unhappy with the fatty, and now she was even angrier. "Are you kidding me? We just bought it for 100 gold coins and you want to take it away for 80 gold coins? How can you say something so shameless? These materials are worthless in your hands, but our young master has refined them into pills that are worth several times more. You better know what's good for you." "Bah! This was blatant robbery. I'd rather feed it to the dogs than give it to you." Steward Ye's fat face trembled as he pointed at Meng Yinging and angrily scolded, "Young master is the successor of the Alchemist Guild's president. Don't talk about using your medicine, even if he wants you to sleep with him, that's already showing you respect. You better obediently wash up and wait on the bed. If you dare to say no, you can forget about staying in Tiannan City." As Steward Yi said this, his tone suddenly changed. "You've already missed your chance. Now I'll give you 50 gold coins. I'll say it one last time, take out the medicine." This was really strange. How could he meet so many high-quality goods in one night? This was simply unbearable. Chu Tian didn't say anything else. He shot forward and fiercely swung his arm. His fist landed heavily on the fatty's face. Bang! If the fat had the effect of buffering strength, then this effect was limited. Steward Ye's nose was broken on the spot, and a few of his teeth cracked on the spot. He howled like a pig being slaughtered, his face covered in blood as he lay on the ground. "You dare to hit me? Don't you know who I am?" Chu Tian heavily kicked him. "I hit you because I think highly of you. Why should I know who you are?" Steward Yi angrily roared, "Provoking my young master, Tiannan City will no longer have a place for you. You're dead. Noisy. Chu Tian stepped on Steward Ye's remaining front tooth, which was directly swallowed into his stomach. His face flushed red, his two hands kept struggling, but he couldn't move Chu Tian's foot away. Young miss, what are you looking at? Let's go. Let's go. Meng Yingying really felt her blood boiling. Chu Tian was really domineering. With one punch he broke the fatty's nose and teeth. What could be more satisfying than this? Satisfying. It was too satisfying. Meng Yingying spat at the fatty on the ground and swaggered away with Chu Tian. However, the faces of the surrounding people changed. Facing the two of them was like facing a plague, and they immediately retreated. Chu Tian rented a medicine refining room. Meng Yingying thought back, and her heart was a little scared. Hey, Chu Tian, you have to look at the owner before you hit a dog. That fatty is a housekeeper of the Ye family. The Ye family is a mercenary family, and they have influence in several cities. They are very strong, and we can't afford to offend them. If they come looking for trouble, what should we do? Don't talk to me about these useless things, Chu Tian said indifferently. When I, Chu Tian, beat someone up, I never ask who he is. Moreover, this guy is just a dog, and he's so arrogant even though he's a dog. He deserves to be stepped on. Mercenary was a private military organization, and it was a very popular profession in the continent. Mercenaries were bound by mercenary rules, and were not bound by local laws. They had a high degree of freedom and influence. 60 years ago, the Ye family began to enter the mercenary industry. After 10 years of steady development, they created 3 mercenary groups with more than 10,000 people, and 5 mercenary groups with more than 5,000 people. If you add in the support staff, the total number of people would exceed 100,000. It was a large mercenary group. The Ye family's mercenary group was spread across several cities, and Tiannan City was one of them. Steward Yi was a member of the Ye family in Tiannan City, and because his background was very strong, it was no wonder he was so arrogant. Meng Yingying's eyes revealed a trace of hatred. Sister said that mom and dad were probably killed by the Ye family, but the Ye family's power is too great, and even the mayor is afraid of them. We can't do anything to them. Really? Chu Tian pretended to be afraid. They're that powerful? Meng Yingying righteously said, Pei, look at how useless you are. What are you afraid of? If they come looking for trouble, I will protect you. Don't worry. You stupid girl, you still want to protect me? Chu Tian could not hold back his laughter. Meng Yingying unhappily snorted, What are you laughing at? Chu Tian hurriedly said, You hate the Ye family so much. Don't you want to take revenge on the Ye family? Isn't that obvious? Fine, I'll help you. How will you help me? Don't worry, when the time comes, you will naturally know. From Steward Ye's conduct, it was not hard to see the young master's character. This kind of people, Chu Tian had seen too many, and he had killed many of them. Their characteristic was that they were arrogant and self-righteous, and when a dog suffered a setback, they would not let it go. If he really dared to come, then he would give Meng Yingying a chance, and let her ruthlessly crush the Ye family's arrogance. The refining room was 40 to 50 square meters. It had a pill furnace, earth fire, refining tools, extraction tools, and one-time consumable materials. Chu Tian nodded his head. It's better than I imagined. Let's start refining the pills. Meng Yingying asked, refining potions or pills? Potions and pills were different. Potions were mostly short-lived medicines, for example, recovery potions, spirit energy recovery potions, detoxification potions, temporarily increasing one's strength, temporarily increasing one's spirit energy. They were a repeated consumable. Pills were mostly permanent medicines, for example, increasing one's cultivation base, increasing one's physique, or increasing one's lifespan. Repeated use of pills would weaken the effects, so they were not repeated consumables, but rather one-time consumables. Refining pills. Chu Tian paused before continuing, I'll prepare the source energy array and you'll be in charge of refining. Meng Yingying was stunned on the spot. Don't mess around, these materials are very expensive, I don't even know how to refine pills. Chu Tian explained, in alchemy, there are 4 main points, The first is the alchemy array, the second is the materials, the third is the tools, and the fourth is the technique. The alchemy array is the most important. With a high-level alchemy array, you can save a lot of time and can even make up for the difference in technique. I don't even have a first body refinement layer cultivation, so my spirit energy is not strong enough to refine it myself, so I can only rely on you. Meng Yingying almost fainted. I don't even know the basic techniques, what spirit energy transfer frequency, what fire control, what condensing the pill. It's too complicated. Don't worry, I have a common alchemy array. As long as you throw in the ingredients and the right ratio, even a fool can refine a pill. Meng Yingying felt like she was in a fog. I didn't study much, don't lie to me. The same herb, the same recipe, if it was refined by two different alchemy arrays, it could become two completely different kinds of medicine. The countless precious pill recipes on the continent were public, because just obtaining the recipe was not enough. The key was to obtain the corresponding alchemy array. Only by mastering the alchemy array could one refine the corresponding medicine. The modern alchemy field generally believed that alchemy arrays had a high degree of specificity, that is to say, for every pill or potion, there was only one alchemy array. It was impossible to use one alchemy array to refine two kinds of medicine. This was an iron law. Could this iron law really be broken? Meng Yingying was looking forward to it, so she began to patiently wait. Chu Tian's drawing speed was very fast. This was something Meng Yingying had already experienced before, but this time it took an entire hour to finish. Meng Yingying hugged herself as she sat down, unable to resist the drowsiness. Her eyelids were like lead, becoming heavier and heavier as her consciousness became more and more blurry. She actually fell asleep. A crystal-clear drool leaked from the corner of her mouth and her snow-white cheeks were slightly red, making her look very cute. After several dozen minutes, Meng Yingying was shaken awake. Wiping the drool from her mouth, she stood up with a red face. "Wu, how did I fall asleep?" Chu Tian showed her an alchemy array diagram. "Please take a look." This was the most complicated and profound thing that Meng Yingying had ever seen in her life. Tens of thousands of runes were densely packed on it. All kinds of formations and patterns were piled up, weaving into a formation that was as rich as the Milky Way. What kind of source energy array was this? The runes were like ants, even with a magnifying glass. It was hard to look at. She really didn't know how it was carved. The entire source energy array was so complex. Just looking at it was terrifying. Not to mention memorizing it in one's mind, not to mention drawing it out without a single mistake. The more complex the source energy array was, the easier it was to make a mistake. Because if there was a single mistake or a slight deviation, the entire array would lose its effect. Meng Yingying gave a heartfelt sigh. The inventor of this array is not human. Memorizing it and drawing it out, you are a monster. She was right on one point. This array was not invented by a human. In the era Chu Tian lived in, civilization was extremely prosperous, giving birth to countless miraculous inventions. The greatest invention was the source energy array supercalculator. This kind of source energy array supercalculator was over 10 billion times faster than the human brain. Its appearance was undoubtedly a powerful engine for the growth of civilization. The alchemists of the continent spent several decades collecting large amounts of data on alchemy and arrays, storing it all in the source energy array supercalculator. Borrowing the computing power of the source energy array supercalculator, they spent several years creating 36 super alchemy arrays. The appearance of the super alchemy arrays immediately shook the continent. Almost overnight, more than 80% of the alchemy arrays, as many as 10 million classic alchemy arrays, and those things that were once considered treasures and secrets by various forces were thrown into the trash heap, becoming a pile of eliminated academic rubbish. The super source energy array supercalculator was hundreds of millions of times faster than the human brain. Based on the data accumulated over tens of thousands of years of civilization, it finally created these super source energy arrays. In the eyes of the people of this era, this was simply the knowledge of a god. Chapter 11. 5-element 80,000 pill refining array. This name was a bit strange, but it was actually very easy to understand. The 5 elements were metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. 80,000 were 80,000 common materials. 5 elements 80,000 meant that 80,000 common level 1 materials of the 5 elements could be refined with a single source energy array. It was a very versatile alchemy array. Meng Yingying heard this and immediately refuted, but this completely goes against common sense and the iron law of alchemy. The iron law does not represent the truth, so it can be broken. Chu Tian first placed the alchemy array into the pill furnace and then made an inviting gesture. Come and give it a try. This isn't any harder than frying steak or cooking soup. I believe you can do it. Since Chu Tian said this, Meng Yingying could only brace herself and give it a try. The moment spirit energy was poured in, the pill furnace released a storm-like roar, signifying that the refining process had begun. Under the super source energy array's normal operation, countless glowing runes appeared on the surface of the pill furnace, stabilizing the pill furnace like a seal. No matter how intense the internal reaction was, no matter how terrifying the storm was, the pill furnace did not move at all. After around 10 minutes, the movement gradually became smaller. Good, open the furnace. It can't be, it's over like this? I still don't know what's going on. Chu Tian nodded his head. As long as the formula was correct, stable, and efficient, the failure rate was close to 0. The super source energy array was just this mysterious. This was the result of tens of thousands of years of wisdom and a supercomputer as an engine, finally giving birth to great knowledge. Of course, the super alchemy array could only deal with common materials of the 5 elements. There were some special or rare materials that could not be dealt with at the same time. Chu Tian took out a pale golden pill. Look, this is called a qi refining pill, one of the best pills for the body refinement realm. It can greatly increase the spirit energy of a body refinement realm cultivator. Meng Yingying quickly asked, how strong is this pill? Let's say it like this. As long as one has a qi refining pill, no matter how bad one's talent is, they can still reach the first or second layer of the body refinement realm. If one already has a body refinement realm cultivation, they can also greatly increase their spirit energy. Most importantly, this pill has no side effects at all. There was no lack of pills that could increase one's cultivation in the continent, but most of them had side effects. Pulling a seedling to help it grow would bring harm to itself. The truly outstanding pills that had no side effects were not only extremely expensive to refine, but they were also often priceless. They were only held in the hands of a few forces, and they were treated as secrets and would never be leaked to the outside world. Meng Yingying had never thought that she would be able to refine such a precious pill. Meng Yingying was immediately full of enthusiasm and immediately refined the second pill. One for each of us. The two of them swallowed it at the same time. Chu Tian sat cross-legged and felt a burning sensation in his abdomen. A wave of pure yuan qi first flowed into his limbs and bones, and then into his meridians. The body refinement realm was the first realm of a cultivator. When every meridian was filled with essence force, it was considered that one had officially stepped into this realm. From then on, whenever his elemental energy increased, his physique, strength, and speed would all improve, and he would become stronger and stronger. When the last meridian was opened up by the essence energy, it immediately produced a feeling of being reborn. Chu Tian had naturally become a cultivator at the first level of the body refinement realm. Chu Tian did not stop here. There was still a lot of energy left from the pill, and he skillfully guided this energy to continue to nourish his meridians, allowing his essence force to continue to grow. His cultivation rapidly increased, from the first level of the body refinement realm to the second level of the body refinement realm, and finally stopped at the third level of the body refinement realm. It was only 2 hours. A person who had not even reached the body refinement realm had stepped into the third level of the body refinement realm. The strength of his entire body had increased by about 3 times. The effect was not bad, and it was very satisfying. When Chu Tian opened his eyes, Meng Yingying had just finished absorbing the pill. She jumped up from the ground and gave Chu Tian a big hug on the spot. Chu Tian suddenly felt two soft and bouncy mountain peaks, as if Mount Tai was pressing down on him. It made his blood boil, and he couldn't help but rub forward. He didn't know what this little girl ate to grow up, but at such a young age, it was enough to make countless mature women feel inferior. Oh, am I dreaming? The peak of the 4th level. I'm now at the peak of the 4th level of the body refinement realm. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. If elder sister knew, she would definitely be happy for me. One small pill was worth at least 3 to 4 years of Meng Yingying's bitter cultivation. Meng Yingying had once dreamed of reaching the 3rd level of the body refinement realm, because as long as she reached the 3rd level of the body refinement realm, she could become an official disciple. However, no matter how hard she tried, she was always stuck at the peak of the 2nd level, and could only be a sullen disciple in name. How could she not be happy? Now she had jumped to the peak of the 4th level. Her cultivation was not lower than Han Xiaolong's. Chu Tian wasn't bragging. The qi refining pill was really very useful. Not only did it have immediate effects, it also didn't have any side effects. This was 10 times better than any of the famous pills she knew. The value of this pill was astonishing, because the value of the pill's effects was far higher than the cost. Even if it was sold for a few thousand gold coins, there would still be a lot of people fighting over it. If it was controlled by a certain power or family, not only would it greatly increase the overall power, it could also create a huge economic value. Don't make a fuss, let's go. This must be taken away. Meng Yingying hurriedly picked up the pill furnace, carefully holding it in her bosom. We can't let others take advantage of it. Chu Tian nodded. The pill furnace was of course not worth much, but the pill refining array inside was incredible. It was enough to cause a stir in the entire continent, and even set off a reign of terror. Moreover, Chu Tian himself would also suffer. It must not fall into the hands of outsiders. The eastern sky was already bright. The two stayed in the pill refining room for 4 to 5 hours. When they walked out, it was already the next morning. Meng Yingying was instantly dumbfounded. I'm done for. Chu Tian was puzzled. Why are you so surprised? Meng Yingying was like an ant on a hot pan. If elder sister knew that I spent the night outside, she would definitely beat my butt. Meng Qingwu's discipline was very strict. The biggest rule was that she was not allowed to stay out at night. Right now, she didn't know if her sister had found out, but no matter what, she would first go back and apologize, then slowly explain. After all, she had gained so much last night, so her sister should understand. It must be known that on the surface, Meng Qingwu was gentle and dignified, always calm, but once she was angry, it was like a thunderbolt. Just thinking about it was frightening. Meng Yingying's heart was a bit weak. Let's hurry up and leave. Suddenly, a sharp whistle came from afar. So, Meng Yingying was at the peak of the 4th rank of body refinement, so her reaction speed had greatly increased. A sharp wolf fang arrow was shot straight at Chu Tian. Not good, someone wanted to kill Chu Tian. Chu Tian's strength had greatly increased, and with the addition of his hyperfocus ability, he very calmly leaned to the side, the arrow brushing past his shoulder, fiercely nailing into the wooden door of a shop, the entire arrowhead piercing through, the arrow feathers still trembling. If he had hesitated for even half a second, the arrow would have pierced his heart. Under the protection of 2 sturdy mercenaries, a white-clothed youth holding a longbow walked over. The youth looked to be 15 or 16 years old, dressed very luxuriously, his face full of arrogance, and a fat man with a bandaged face following behind him. If this wasn't Steward Yi, who else could it be? Meng Yingying angrily said, publicly shooting arrows to kill people in the alchemy market? This kind of behavior is too vile. Aren't you afraid of causing public anger? In this place, who doesn't know this young master, who dares to say half a word? If you want to beat a dog, you must look at the owner. Since you guys have touched my people, then you should be prepared to bear this young master's anger. The bright white-clothed youth slowly walked over, but when he saw Meng Yingying's appearance, he showed a trace of surprise, which immediately turned into disdain. Such a loud voice, I was wondering who it was? Turns out it's the Meng family's waste young miss. If this young master wants to kill someone, it's not up to a useless flower vase to interfere. Don't tell me this is your new sugar lover? Meng Yingying's face flushed red. Nonsense, I'm not a useless person. Yi Feng's words were full of thorns, the sarcasm was even thicker. I really feel sad for Meng Qingwu. In order to cling onto this big tree, Master Zhang, I spent a lot of effort to send you under his tutelage to cultivate. In the end, after a whole 4 years, your cultivation is low, your academics aren't good, your grades are at the bottom, and you've accomplished nothing. Oh, according to the news that just came out yesterday, you were fired? If I were you, I'd just kill myself. How would I have the face to come out and continue to make a fool of myself? Yi Feng was 15 or 16 years old and had reached the peak of the 3rd layer of cultivation. He was the successor of the Alchemist Association's president and was publicly recognized as a genius alchemist in Tiannan City. Compared to him, Meng Yingying was a pitiful, ugly duckling. Of course, this was referring to the previous Meng Yingying, but now Meng Yingying was already at the 4th layer of body refinement. Meng Yingying's heart was stabbed, her mood was very low, but she still tried to protect Chu Tian. Say what you want, I don't care. Chu Tian is a friend of the Meng family. If you dare hurt him, my sister will not let you go. If you have the ability, then try and touch him. Yi Feng laughed loudly. Ha, birds of a feather flock together, this saying is indeed true. A grown man needs to rely on the protection of 2 women to survive. To say you are a useless person is too kind, you're even worse than a useless person. Since it's like this, I'm too lazy to make a move. Steward Yi was not willing. Young master, are we just going to let them go like this? Yi Feng showed a disdainful expression. To make a move on a pair of useless people, wouldn't that be lowering our status? The 2 mercenaries beside Yi Feng were both elites, roughly at the 6th or 7th layer of body refinement. A wise man does not fight when the odds are against him. It wouldn't be too late to get back at them another day. Meng Yingying dragged Chu Tian. Heng, ignore them, let's go. At this time, the 2 mercenaries blocked their way. Meng Yingying saw the tall and strong mercenary and revealed a fearful expression, shocked and angry. What is the meaning of this? I don't kill people, I didn't say I'll just let it go. Yi Feng said in a mocking tone. You guys did something wrong, so you have to pay the price. Now, kneel 3 times and kowtow 9 times to the housekeeper and sincerely apologize. This young master is magnanimous and will not bother with this matter anymore. Thank you, young master. Steward Yi revealed a happy and proud expression, straightening his back. Kneel, I accept your apology. You want me to apologize to your dogs? Meng Yingying was bullied, her heart was filled with grief and indignation. She hatefully said, Don't you think you guys went too far? Too far? No. Trash should have the awareness of being a trash. Yi Feng lightly patted his snow-white robe. On this continent, the strong are respected, the hard fist is the law. Me not killing people is already a very merciful way to deal with this. You guys should learn to be grateful, because those who don't know what's good for them will not have a good ending. Chu Tian laughed out loud, as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Yi Feng's face darkened. Are my words funny? Chu Tian said, You say trash every time you open your mouth, so I'm really curious, where does your sense of superiority come from? Steward Yi stood up and said, Our young master is the most talented alchemist in Tiannan City. His teacher is the Alchemist Guild's president, Master Li Changyun. How can a country bumpkin like you question him? Chu Tian laughed again. With your level, you can't even compare to a child playing with mud balls. As for Master Li Changyun, nowadays, anyone can call themselves a master. I think he's not even good enough to carry my shoes. Once these words came out, everyone was shocked. What kind of person was Li Changyun? He was the president of Tiannan City's Alchemist Guild, the authority of Tiannan City's alchemy field. Chu Tian was a nobody. Did he want to offend both master and disciple at once? Slow down, don't be in such a hurry to bite people. Chu Tian saw that Yi Feng was about to explode in anger, so he immediately took the initiative and continued to say shocking words. If you're not convinced, then let's have a fair and square competition. Let's compete in alchemy that you're so proud of. Let everyone see who's the real trash. Yi Feng had been immersed in the halo of a genius since he was young. He was too arrogant, How could he tolerate this kind of provocation? You're asking to be humiliated. Just say it. Do you dare to compete? Yifeng said in a strange tone. I understand, this young master is Tiannan City's most dazzling alchemy genius. If you challenge this young master, then it's natural for me to win. Even if you can't win, you can still challenge me and gain some fame. I've seen this kind of trick many times. Damn it. This guy was really too disgusting. Meng Yingying felt like she was about to vomit last night's dinner. If you want to humiliate yourselves, then this young master can help you, but Yifeng's tone became strange. There are too many cats and dogs like you in this city. If everyone provokes and challenges this young master, how can I handle it? Chu Tian laughed happily. How do you want to play? I'll keep you company. Yifeng took out a crystal card. This gold card can withdraw 5,000 gold coins from any bank. I'll use 5,000 gold coins as a bet. I know you can't take out that much money, so if I lose, I want Meng Yingying to be my maid and you to be my slave. Don't look down on people. Meng Yingying flew into a rage out of humiliation and decided to throw caution to the wind. I'll sign a contract with you as the Meng family's second miss. If you win, take the contract and the IOU and go to Nanyun Commerce to get the money. Yifeng didn't think that Meng Yingying would have this kind of courage. Good. If you sincerely take out 5,000 gold coins to pay the tuition fee, this young master will be merciful and teach you a lesson. 5,000 gold coins was enough to make Nanyun Commerce on the verge of collapse even worse. This was an astonishingly large gamble. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.